Santo. Good evening, everyone. Can I please have a motion and a second to reconvene the public meeting?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tonight, after we stand for the pledge, I'm going to ask everyone to remain standing for a moment of silence for our servicemen and women, as well as for a former student of Connecticut Schools, Joseph Boutros, whose life was tragically cut short recently. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and all who knew and loved him. Can we all stand for the pledge? Thank you. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of February 10, 2026 and March 2nd, 2026?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So welcome. We have another great recognition of our student athletes tonight. I will have Dr. Senamore and Mr. Pete Mallory give out some recognitions to our winter athletes. Oh, sorry. Before we do that, we're going to do roll call. We were so excited. I do apologize.
Marisol Mallon, President.
Present.
April Natelli, Vice President.
Present.
Jackie DiLorenzo, Trustee. Present. Sarah Parisi, Trustee. Melissa Torgressa, Trustee. Present. Dr. Joseph Senamore, Superintendent.
Present.
Robert Hauser, Assistant Sup for Business and Operations.
Present.
Christina Poppy, Assistant Sup for Curriculum and Instruction.
Present.
John Allen, Assistant to the Superintendent.
Present.
Lori O'Hara, Executive Director, Professional Development, Compliance Services, and Special Ed.
Present.
Anthony Fasano, District Attorney.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, for the moment we couldn't wait for. Mr. Mallory.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight to honor our athletes and our coaches. I feel like I was here a week ago just finishing up the fall sports. It's like athletics never stops. The athletes here literally competed 3 days ago upstate New York, and then yesterday they were out on our field starting the spring season. So it just keeps rolling. We really appreciate that you guys take the time to recognize us. Real quick, as I'm staring at John Allen over here, as you know, we had an awful winter. We really didn't think we'd be outside yesterday, and even with the weather cooperating, we didn't think we'd be able to use all the fields. And Mr. Allen's guys were phenomenal. Thank you. They got everything, literally everything done, and we were up full go with about 510 athletes out there yesterday. The winter season was another tremendous season. 309 athletes competed. 6 out of 8 of our teams made the playoffs. We don't have our scholar athlete numbers yet because they don't come out till Friday. We won 2 league championships, 2 county championships, and the cheer team got a bid to nationals, as they always seem to do. We had 22 individual state qualifiers. We don't keep the record books on that, but in my 7 years, that's certainly the highest amount we've ever had for a winter season. The first state qualifier I'd like to talk about, if Katie Purcelli would come on down. Katie? So Katie is part of the combined team with Rocky Point, the combined girls wrestling team. As we remember last year, come on down, don't be shy. Katie was the county champion as a sophomore and ended up 4th in the state. This year, she had another incredible season, and Coach DeVito from Rocky Point had this to say about Katie. Junior Katie Purcelli has put together a truly remarkable 25-4 season defined by an elite work ethic and an unwavering commitment to personal growth. Her drive to excel propelled her to the finals of both the county and state championships. Most notably, her path to the 107-pound state finals was a master class in resilience. She avenged two regular season losses with dominant victories in the quarterfinals and semifinals. She didn't give up a point, right? 1 point in the semis? Okay, she's very modest. Okay, so she tied the champion in the counties in Suffolk County, went upstate, wrestled that individual and pinned her, right? That's avenging the loss. Tremendous. The postseason run is a direct reflection of the discipline she brings to the mat every day. We are incredibly proud of her achievements and eagerly anticipate the bright future ahead of Katie. Congratulations. And now I'd like to introduce our legendary coach, Bill Santoro, our head wrestling coach, and his two outstanding athletes that he's going to talk about, Kai and Ethan. These guys are popular.
Our top wrestlers this year are Ethan Hauser and Kai Shapiro. Kai is a senior. He's a league champion. He's all county and a state qualifier. Ethan is a junior. He's already 2 times all county, and he's also a state qualifier. Wrestling is a family sport, and these 2 gentlemen are kid brothers of former wrestling alumni. Here's a quick recap of the program. I use the word program because any success the varsity has a direct result from our kid wrestling program, our 2 middle schools, and the JV. We have a saying at the high school, when the varsity wins, we all win. The coaches all use the same drill system, and all of them are committed to the program. It is because of them that we get extremely large turnouts each year at Connecticut. Between 80 and 90 kids come out for wrestling at the high school every year. If you've seen our room, to put that in perspective, only Brentwood High School has more on Long Island. Space and logistics can be a challenge, but we make it work. We have split workouts, and we work in shifts. The varsity record this year is 16 wins, 3 losses. The team again qualified for the Suffolk Dual Meet Tournament. And to qualify for that tournament, you have to be either first or second place in the league. Connecticut has qualified for that tournament for 9 straight years. Quick history. The T-Birds have won 17 league titles in the past 22 years. And in the past 48 years, there has only been 3 wrestling seasons below 500. Winning percentage during that 48 years, .756. Getting back to Ethan and Kai, these 2 gentlemen combined to defeat 75 opponents this season. More importantly, they are excellent ambassadors for Connecticut, and much of the credit for that goes to their families. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. Well done. Congrats again, Ethan. Way to go, Kai. And now we'd like to call up Coach Chigalone and our swimmers.
Thanks, Mr. Laurie. Again, I'd like to thank our Board of Ed and all our administrators for really making our new pool come to fruition. You know, there's a lot of work that was put into that, and we truly appreciate it. Gave these guys a great home to swim in, and super proud. This season was truly an outstanding one for the boys. Through their hard work, their dedication, we finished 4th overall in the county with a 6-2 record. To say I'm proud of these young men is truly an understatement. I know I'm kind of pressed for time here, so I'm going to be a little quick. I definitely want to introduce these guys. Up first is our senior captain, Dean Smith. Dean Smith had an absolute exceptional season. Dean was All-State. He also received All-County honors this year. Dean ranked 3rd in the county in the 500 freestyle, and he fished 13th overall in the 500 free at this past current state meet. So All-State honors there for Dean. I just want to add that he also dropped nearly 6 seconds off his personal best time there at the state meet. So very proud of Dean. Next up, Max Schramm. He couldn't be here tonight, but he delivered a strong season for us, earning all-county honors in the 100 butterfly. He finished 6th overall in the county while contributing to our 200 medley relay up at the state meet, ranking top 30. Next up, we have Aiden Gabout. Was a key part of our success in our 200 state relay, swimming our breaststroke leg. Again, we placed top 30 in the state. Aiden ranked top 20 in the county in the 100 breaststroke and also received all county honors. Next up, we have freshman Mason Spellman. This young man filled some big shoes this year. As a freshman, going to the state meet speaks volumes of his hard work and dedication. He helped power our 200 freestyle relay by leading off in the backstroke. Again, finishing top 30. He also earned all county honors with his outstanding performance this year. So freshman Mason Spellman. And last, we have our senior captain, Declan Duran. Declan was all state, all county. He placed 11th overall in the entire state in the 50 free, placed 17th overall in the 100 freestyle. If you didn't know, he was the News 12 Scholar Athlete recipient this year as well. And he is our 2026 valedictorian. So, Declan Duran. And just to close up, I just want to thank these gentlemen for allowing me to take the journey with them. And I want to personally thank their parents for trusting me and allowing me to coach their sons. So, thank you. Appreciate it. He's not here tonight.
Thank you, Coach Alex. At this time, we'd like to introduce the girls track team and their coaches. Head coach Mike Austin, assistant coach Pat Wuss. Come on down, coach. Oh, he's with, okay, got you. And Dennis. Does Dennis come with you?
Okay, so I was asked to keep this short, so I will do my best. To make it a little bit easier that I cannot find my glasses. So, okay, so historic team this year, historic performances this year for the team. I will have a bullet-pointed list, so I will try to be as quick as possible. The team was number 1 in our league. First time we won a league title in, I believe, a decade. Number 1 in the county. That is the first time, depending on who you ask, it's either since 1989 or ever. I haven't done it in a long time for sure. And they did it in decisive fashion. They won by nearly 30 points over the next best team. to give you an idea, before I get going into this, there are 15 events total in a track and field meet. So when I start mentioning how many kids did certain things, it'll give you an idea of how incredibly dominant this team was. So for starters, league champions. We had 5 of the 15 events we won at the league championship. That would be Luna Valencia in the shot put, Leilani Delanoy in the 55 hurdles, Alicia Wilkerson in the 55 and 300, Olivia DiGaetano in the 1500, and our 4x2 of Erin Friel, Callie Law, Nikki Tabello, and Lacey Wilkerson. Okay. All league status. So all league means that they got top 4 in the league. That was 12 out of 15 events. We had a kid who got all league. I'm not going to read all those names because we'll be here forever. Okay. So moving on to the county championship. Individual county champions. We had Olivia DiGaetano in the 1500, Luna Valencia in the shot put, and Angelina Guzman in the high jump. All county. So all county would be that they came in top 4 in the entire county. We had somebody in 11 of 15 events be all county. Again, I said before, they won that meet by nearly 30 points. I won't read those teams because we have to move on to state qualifiers. Okay, for state qualifiers, we had a total of 8 girls qualify for states in a total of 15 events. So that's more than half the events we had kids qualify for states in. So Luna Valencia was in the shot put, Leilani Delanoy in the high hurdles, Alicia in the 300 and the 4x2, Sophia Orlando in the race walk, Liv in the 1500 and the 3000 and the 1000, and the 4x2 of Leilani, Callie, Erica, and Alicia. So all those girls qualified for states. At the state meet this past weekend, we had Luna in the shot put come in 24th. Leilani came in 19th in the hurdles. Sophia came in 4th place in the entire state in the race walk, came all state, all federation. 4x2 came in 10th place overall, ran a 1-second school record. Huge if you don't know anything about sprinting. Okay, sorry. Alicia Wilkerson, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, 8th grader Alicia Wilkerson, ran in the 300-meter dash. Well, correction, let's go back. She anchored our 4x2 in a time of 24:9. I know that doesn't mean much to a lot of you, but it was the 4th fastest time of anybody in the entire meet the entire day. Comes back the next day. She is the 15th seed. Ends up making the finals, ends up coming in 3rd place in the entire state. I'm just going to dote a little bit more here. That puts her as the 2nd fastest 8th grader in New York State history. And she's currently the fastest 300 8th grader in the entire United States. Okay. Last, and then I promise I will hand over the microphone. I need to talk about Olivia DiGaetano. Olivia was unfortunately not able to be here for the one where they recognize fall athletes, so I'm going to briefly talk about her fall exploits, and then I will talk about winter track. All right. In the fall, Liv holds 12 school records for various cross-country courses. She ran at the state qualifier meet. She ended up running so fast, she has the 13th fastest time in Sunken Meadow history. And they used to run the national championship there for about 20 years. So there have been thousands of the fastest girls in the entire country who have run there. She's the 13th fastest all time. Went to states, all state for the 2nd year in a row. Ran a fantastic time there, has the fastest 5K in Connecticut history. Almost done, I promise. Winter track. She went into state qualifier, ran 3 separate events, qualify for all 3 events. She's the only girl in Suffolk County who did that. She was nominated as one of the MVPs of the entire county. They only give that award to 5 girls of the thousands of girls who run winter track. That was voted on by all the coaches, so every single coach in the county thought that she was so good as to be one of the 5 best athletes in the entire county. If you know anything about Suffolk County, that's saying something. She ran 6th place at the 3,000 at States, running a school record of 9:46 in the 3K. Again, I know you guys don't necessarily know that. But the most impressive thing I think of the meet was that she led off the intersectional relay, and they ended up coming in 1st place. So she is a state champion in the intersectional relay as well. A few of them will be going on to nationals this coming weekend. Again, for the sake of time, I won't name them all, but we do have a bunch of girls going on to the nationals meets this weekend, where we're hoping to have a couple of them come home as All-Americans. Just want to take one more second to thank the Board of Ed for having us. I want to thank 2 in particular, Ms. Torgrosa and Ms. Mallon, who came out to see our county championship meet. The support really means a lot. All right, so the 2026 county champion.
Congrats, man. Phenomenal year, ladies. Great job. Congratulations, coaches, as well. And I'd like to bring up our boys track staff, head coach Shelby White, assistant coaches Pat West and Dennis Mensch. Come on up. And the boys track team.
While the boys make their way down here, I do want to say thank you very much for having us this evening. It's very nice to see everybody once again. And I will work on the matching T-shirts like the girls did this next time. Guys, if you need to jump on the stage, jump on the stage. Go on the stage. Not all of you, not all of you. Guys, if you're going to be on the stage, kneel. All right, all right. Let me jump right into it. I'm not taking up too much either. These boys, many of them have been up here before. We're very lucky to have built up a program over the past couple of years that has been very successful. And I know you always look at it and you're like, it's the same kids or whatever it is, but it's not. These kids have come in and come out, come and gone, and consistently, and it's due to the hard work that these guys put in, seriously. And I think any coach in the room of any sport is that the kids who put the dedication and the work in are the ones who get to be at events like this. Noticed for their accolades. So let me jump right to it about what these boys were able to accomplish this year. This season in particular, we set 10 new top 3 time watt marks in 8 different events, including 55-meter hurdles, pole vault, long jump, 4x200 meter relay, high jump, 2 weight throwers, and in the 300-meter dash. So all of those were accomplished this year, top 3 Connect times or marks ever in school history. 3 of those marks were new school records entirely. One of them was from senior Devin Woodard in the 55-meter hurdles. He ran a time of 7:65, which marks him as one of the best in the state in the hurdles. And the guy that he took that record from was a New York Gatorade Athlete of the Year in J.J. Stallworth in 2013. Our second one came as a nice surprise, which came from our junior Jaden Anglin, who set the long jump school record at 23 feet 4 inches. That was a huge improvement. He's followed very closely behind by another teammate of his who set one of our top three marks in that event as well. So we're having a tremendous year in the long jump right now with a sophomore and a junior leading the charge there. So that's Jaden Anglin. And then to follow that up, our third new school record came from Alex Moulter, who not only set a school record, but absolutely demolished a school record by jumping 15 feet in the pole vault. He broke the school record by a full foot, and at the state qualifier, he is 2 feet better than the next jumper in Suffolk County. So when everybody else got out of the competition, he was just coming into the competition. And just to put something nice in perspective, the guy who came in second behind him is also on our team. That's senior JJ Ingersolino. We were lucky enough to do well at leagues. We came in second at leagues this year. We had 19 all-league athletes and accolades. 6 of them were individual league champions in the 300, the high jump, the 4x4. We had 10 all-county marks, with 3 of them being county champions, with the long jump, the 55-meter hurdles, and the high jump. All-section is when we go to the state qualifier, so the best in Suffolk County. We had 5 all-section athletes, with 3 of them being all-section champions, which means in the long jump, Jaden Anglin was the best in Suffolk County. In the high jump, Devin Woodard was the best in Suffolk County. And in the pole vault, Alex Moulter was the best in Suffolk County. Moving on after that, we went into the All Long Island accolades, where we had 5 athletes there as well. It was the same 5 athletes who were all section, got themselves All Long Island honors. One of them being the champion in sophomore Jeremiah Davis in the long jump. He was the Long Island champion. Four of the athletes, given their marks at those meets, were honored to be representing Section 11 at the states, this New York State meet that happened this past weekend. That was pole vaulter Alex Moulter, pole vaulter JJ Ingersolino, long jumper Jaden Anglin, and high jumper Devin Woodard. They went on, did very well at states. Alex Moulter was recognized as All-State and All-Federation for his placement in the pole vault. So that was a very nice accolade for him to come home with after just missing the podium by a single spot last year. And in addition to that, 14 of these gentlemen qualified to compete at the national level this upcoming weekend at both Boston's New Balance Nationals and at Nike at the city here at the Armory at Nike Nationals. So 14 of them. That's not an easy thing to do. I'm going to wrap it up here just by saying one thing about the success that these guys have brought on. Now, last year, I was very lucky to have a group of seniors that had so many accolades behind them because of the hard work that they put in. And I feel like year after year, I'm talking about something that's never been done before in school history. And these group of seniors that you have right here, all of these guys are included in that, but this group of seniors right here individually have accomplished getting 6 league championship titles and 6 Suffolk County championship titles amongst this group right here of these seniors. Altogether, that is something that has never been done in school history before, and they are looking to earn another one, hopefully, in both divisions as we move outdoors this year and host the county championship once again. So give it up for your boys, Suffolk County champions for track and field.
So we took a lot of your time. We appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations to all athletes and coaches for all their really hard work. And I know you're back at it. We'll see you tomorrow on the practice fields.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate the athletes one more time. Can we have another round of applause to our athletes and coaches? You are welcome to stay, but I know you all want to go home, so you are also welcome to go home. Have a good night. Thank you, everyone. Yes. She doesn't want to stay? You'll take her home. She doesn't want to stay? You'll take her home. No, I know, but because it's going to be hard to hear at home because of the background. We do not have any, or do we have any ORBA members here? SEPTA, PTA? We now will have a presentation from Ms. Poppy, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, for our elementary curriculum overview.
Thank you, Mrs. Mallon. I'd just like to take a moment to thank our administrative team that's here this evening. They're going to be doing most of the talking, so please allow me to introduce them. In the audience this evening, we have Ms. Jill Leahy, who's our principal of Cherokee Elementary School, Mr. Michael Renda, the assistant principal of Cherokee. A year ago, we delivered an elementary instructional overview that kind of left with a slide that was entitled On the Horizon for Connecticut. And so in the spirit of picking up where we left off, I wanted to begin by honing in on 4 major instructional focuses that are going to be the backbone of this presentation. Collectively, we have been focused on integrating our social studies topics into literacy instruction, the continued development of strategies to support small group instruction in order to provide targeted interventions in both ELA and mathematics, continued professional learning for faculty and staff, and our administrative staff as well, by Connecticut's literacy consultants and an external SAVIS consultant who visits us regularly. And in addition, we've engaged iReady professional learning, data review, and strategic goal setting. So you'll hear more about all 4 of these topics, really kind of framing out this overview of our elementary programmatic approach. And now I'd like to introduce Ms. Erin Papadopoulos, who's going to begin tonight's presentation by speaking about some of the cross-content integration that we have going on. Ms. Papadopoulos.
Thank you for the opportunity to share a brief glimpse into the teaching and learning happening every day in our elementary school classrooms. One instruction our students' learning experiences is our teachers' commitment to cross-content integration. Our teachers and curriculum writers intentionally design lessons that connect multiple subject areas, allowing students to see how knowledge and skills work together in meaningful ways. Rather than teaching subjects in isolation, our teachers align learning targets so that reading, writing, science, social studies, mathematics, and technology reinforce one another. A key example of this work is the use of subject-specific read-alouds. Teachers utilize literature and informational texts that align with current units of study. During a science unit, students may listen to read-alouds about ecosystems or weather patterns, while in social studies, they might explore biographies or historical narratives. These texts build background knowledge, strengthen vocabulary, and spark curiosity. Students are also able to extend this learning through research-based informational writing. Guided by their teachers, they gather facts, answer questions, and organize information related to subject-specific topics and concepts. In this way, literacy instruction becomes a powerful tool for deepening understanding across the curriculum. Cross-content integration also aligns with priorities outlined in New York Inspires, particularly the instructional requirements related to personal finance and climate education. Even at the elementary school level, students are able to explore concepts such as responsible decision-making, sustainability, and environmental responsibility. These topics are woven into existing units so that students learn them in authentic, developmentally appropriate contexts. Next, we have Mr. Winkle, who will share insights on our initiatives in literacy and mathematics.
How you guys doing? So I'm going to talk a little bit about math and ELA. We'll make it as concise as possible. So as you know, we're continuing our initiatives here in literacy and math with a real emphasis on targeted small group instruction. Doing that, we can ensure that students are getting exactly what they need in as much efficiency as we can give to them. The goal is to limit the amount of times we have to pull students out of classroom. So we're thinking it's year 2 now of our push-in model for the ELA. You know, this is where the reading teachers come 1 period a day, 4 to 5 days a week, and work as a co-teacher with our classroom teacher. And together they work and create small groups, almost like centers where students can move around. If you do the math, if they do they do 40-minute periods, they do 2 20-minute blocks, they can get 8 to 10 different small instructional groups over the course of a week. So our students who are in the greatest need can get small group instruction at least 4, maybe even 5 times a week. So, and we don't have to pull them out of the classroom. So that model has been working well for us. It's our 2nd year. Teachers are getting very comfortable with it. The second piece is it's our 3rd year now with the Envision Math program. So this is a point now where our teachers are getting very, very proficient at it. And I'll talk a little bit more later about how the professional development is going into that. But we're finding that they feel more comfortable in it. And I always remember it's their 3rd year, but it's also the students' 3rd year. And when you do something like this, they become well-trained and versed in it. So their math literacy is boosted as well. So that's where we are right now in those initiatives. To talk about intervention groups, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Laura Kimball.
Before you do,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
You can put me on the spot.
I did. I'm so sorry. But I'm just curious, have you seen any growth? And if you have, what growth have you seen in the math program?
So it's hard for me to speak on a data level about the whole district. You know, my building,
At your school?
Was it at my school? Yes, we have. We modified the tests 2 years ago, so it's hard to compare longitudinally across the first 2, but yes, we're seeing year to year the comfort level of the students, and we're looking at it from there. But again, as a whole district, I can't speak to that data, but yes, I think it's working, and I'm comfortable with it, and that's why we keep up with it. And you'll see, and I'll talk about the PD here in a little bit, we're diving deeper into it and increasing the teacher capacity in that range. So it's going to be a success already, but I like to see it keep going.
Thank you. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
You always
Just,
can.
we struggle in the math, and I just wanted to know how we were progressing in our growth in this. Thank you.
So
I've
that's
seen-
also going to be echoed, I'm sorry, Ms. Kimball, that's going to be echoed in a future slide that's focused specifically on some data for us to consider.
Perfect. Thank you.
I've seen significant growth at BOSD in mathematics, just to share.
Appreciate
So
that. Thank
Interventions are guided by our district-wide RTI plan. Students at risk are identified using multiple measures, and interventions are provided on a tiered approach. We look at the data to see which students are at risk for ELA, math, or behavior. And using the tiered approach, tier 1 is in the classroom using core curriculum and the classroom teacher. Tier 2 is the specialist with targeted small group instruction, and it is provided inside the classroom. And then tier 3 provides a more intensive support with the specialists, and the intensiveness increases the frequency and decreases the number of students in the group. And that helps the students who need the most support. We use a collaborative approach to interventions. It begins with our instructional support teams. The ISTs meet, and they meet with the classroom teachers, the specialists, the interventionists, the ENL co-teachers. The IST regularly reviews student data and monitors progress, and then creates the groups in the tiers. The groups are fluid and flexible, and students move in and out of tiers based on their performance. Intervention groups meet 3 to 4 times a week for about 20 to 40 minutes. And that's how we do our interventions. And now, Mr. Wrinkle will continue.
Mrs. Mallon, I'm going to go every other time just to keep it fresh, right?
Don't you worry.
We are very fortunate here in Connecticut to have ongoing student-focused professional learning for all our staff throughout the entire year. I'm going to highlight 3. So these are individuals who either work here already or they come into the building. So we'll start with our reading in-house specialists. These are Connecticut teachers, but they are the best at what they do here with us, and they're specializing in it. So they bounce around the schools, and they deliver either professional development or anything the teachers can give them a call and ask for, and they'll help them out with that as well. So they're here for us. I can give them a call. I call them all the time, and we can put something together that we really want to target, like our small class instruction or the small correction groups and that we're targeting. Our Savvis consultants. So Savvis, as you know, is the company that owns Envision. They're the math program that we have, and they come in and they work with the teachers different periods throughout the year. And one thing we've been looking at and trying to target is to increase the teacher capacity with this program now that's 3 years in. They know the basics, they know the operations, they know the format that the lessons go, but we were looking in deeper. There's a whole toolkit we have. They're working on creating now small group, targeted groups for that as well, so that we can, again, really maximize the students' times, the skills they need. So the consultants are really helpful in that area. And this year, we started talking a little bit over the summer, the administrators, and then the teachers have got access to some iReady staff consultants. iReady is our benchmarking tool that we use. iReady, we give it 3 times a year, the fall, the winter, and the spring. And afterwards, we meet with consultants, and they talk with the teachers about how to really dive into the data, really looking at it, and then how to create groups in that way. And what are we maximizing the best, and what can we use and get a little bit better at. But I don't want to talk too much about that because I want to let Mrs. Jill Leahy go to talk. She's going to be specific about the data.
I'll let
Any
Jill
any
answer
questions?
my question then. I'll let Jill answer because it's got iReady.
Thank you.
I'm happy to talk about data. Good evening.
Yeah, so iReady, I've had a few parents reach out to me. Do we give the parents any notification that their kids will be taking these iReady tests?
As a district, you mean? Or just, no, we don't
Well,
put
for
it out?
school, for anything, because you know what, these tests, like you just, like Mr. Engel just said, you're collecting the data, you're using it to see what students' needs and wants and highs, lows. So parents are saying that they'd like to be notified that their kid is going to be taking a test. They want to explain to them that it's important. Because a lot of kids, especially in the elementary school age, and you guys know better than me, don't take tests sometimes seriously. We're just doing this again. So they just want to be aware and maybe make their kids aware of what, that it matters.
Yeah, I believe that's something that we're working towards as a district, because I know later in the slides we're talking about the parent report. So that's something that we could talk about
as informing the students or the parents when we're going to be taking the assessments. They do happen 3 times a year, but they're also on iReady pretty much daily on their pathway of instruction, so that happens. So that's all year long, but the 3 benchmarks, and that's something we could talk about as the administrators.
And that's what I think might be the confusion, that they're on it often, and now why is this one more important than my other days?
And we do, the program is wonderful, and the staff development we had talks about really having the students take that assessment seriously. There is videos that the staff can use. There are contests that all of our buildings have different contests and different things that we use to promote it in the building to get the students excited about taking it. So that's a great point that we could share that out.
Thank you.
So data. So we love talking about data now, and iReady has been a wonderful tool to help us do that. So our universal is a year, as Mr. Winkle said, in reading and math, and we use iReady as our main core screener, but we also have AimsWeb, which is another one that we use for oral reading fluency and math fluency. So they're pretty much, they serve as a well check for students' academic health. So that's why it's not something that really goes home per se yet to parents, because we really wanted to make sure that the few years that we've had it, that we've understood the data and been able to really dive deep into it with the staff developers. And we use that as like a snapshot of their performance relative to grade level benchmarks across the nation.
Right.
So
my concern though is that we do use it for Sequest and other things. If we're using it for something that is going to dictate what they could be participating in the future, we should be relaying that to the parents.
We can absolutely appreciate that. I think that is going to be a larger part of the conversation here. So I just want to, before Ms. Leahy continues, I just want to be clear in that we've always had a diagnostic type of assessment that we've offered here. We have changed companies because what some diagnostic assessments offer is sometimes more beneficial for our classroom teachers in order to really gauge student skill sets. So we started working with iReady because the product that we were using in the past was not meeting the mark. We've found the product to be more consumer friendly, and I think we'll kind of see that. I do agree with you in terms of taking the assessment seriously, and as Ms. Leahy said, students are on the MyPath portion of iReady consistently in their experience inside of their classroom. That particular component of iReady allows students to practice their skill sets leading up to that diagnostic piece. And it's adaptive, so it presents skills, questions, tasks to students that are in accordance with their particular skill sets, and then measures their growth throughout the time that they're using the product.
Yeah, and I think that is all great. It's just because some of the criteria, as we've discussed, change with the
Yes.
Sequest, and if we're changing the criteria, then we have to change our mindset towards this test. And that's why in the past, maybe it wasn't as much of a a question from parents, but now it's becoming something because of, our criteria.
Point well taken, thank you.
And using this data for many reasons, but really our main goal for using it is really to drive the instruction. So what we found this tool to be more useful, instead of really being, reactive, we're trying to be proactive with instruction and try to identify small gaps that students have before they become huge gaps or significant barriers down the road. So to inform their instruction, teachers can look at the data and see class-wide trends and then adjust their core instruction. So that's one real benefit the teachers are using it for. Teachers can use the screening results to group students, as one of the other slides mentions, with small groups for daily targeted instruction in reading and math. And what's great also about the diagnostic is it pinpoints students that are at risk, who may require interventions, but also students that have either been on grade level or mastered grade level content and may need some enrichment. So that's why it's great that it really dives deep into how students are performing, not just on the diagnostic, but on a daily basis with the pathway.
I love it.
Next slide. So here's an actual piece of the data to share with you. So this is really a snapshot of the elementary schools, K-5, It's an example of the iReady diagnostic report that an educator would see if they're tied to the classroom. So this report displays the results for fall and winter for math for this year. So as you can see in math, we increased, if you just say take a look at the green, 17% to 40% of the students are on or above grade level. So that's been a huge jump in percent since the fall. And then if you look at the red even, we've decreased from 19% to 9% for our most at-risk students. So that's the red piece there, and you could see how it's changed from fall to winter. And then we'll also take it again in the spring. So it's something really to celebrate. As you know, everyone's mentioned, this is our third year using Savvis. It's only our second for using iReady Math. But you could see that students are making gains with the small group instruction that we've implemented in the classroom, and also with the program, the staff development, all of it has come together to really show growth in this area. And I think it's only the beginning because we're seeing so much growth and it's great.
Ms. Leahy,
Any questions? Yeah.
do you mind just sharing with us a little bit of information about what's presented to students on a grade level in the fall? Is it material that they're necessarily familiar with completely?
No, so
that's an
when they
important
start off at the
distinction.
beginning of the year, they're going to be asked questions, and it's computer adaptive. So it's going to start off with a question that might be a beginning of the year grade level question, and then dependent on their answer, the questions either get harder or they get more, or they get easier depending on how the student answers. And they're going to do that multiple times, different topics, whether it's reading or math, and then come up with a median score to see how they compare to other students that take the iReady assessment. So it changes all the time. No student has the same assessment, and the assessment never looks the same for fall, winter, and spring. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, next to the podium, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Lonergan.
Thank you, Mrs. Leahy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm going to put that up a little bit here. Thank you so much for inviting us here today. It's nice to see you all. And I'm excited because I get to talk about my most important favorite thing, which is student growth. So Mrs. Leahy showed you our graph for math. If you look at the screen right now, it shows us our growth reports as a district for reading. Something I'd like to point out is if you notice in the fall, 18% of our students, I'm adding our 3 or more grade levels below and our 2 grade levels below, were performing below grade level, and now we've reduced that to 11%. If you take a look at our yellow, which is 1 grade level below, we went from 49% 1 grade level below to 35% 1 grade level below. And this is the part that's like the wow factor. When you're looking at our mid or early on grade level, we went from 22% early on grade level in the fall to 28% in the winter, and 12% in the fall for mid or grade level, and now 26% that are mid or above grade level. So that's a nice trajectory to see, and I know just historically that midpoint, I'm sure going forward for springtime, we'll definitely see that trajectory continue. Next slide, please.
I just want to say for both these slides, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. Do we agree that the yellow number is a big number? And that's a lot of students that are 1 grade level below or 2 grade levels below in both math and reading?
So I think it's important to mention that when the students take the exam or the diagnostic in September, often we filter in the summer slide. So unfortunately for some of our students, there's been 2 months where they haven't had a lot of, whether or not they haven't been practicing their facts or their reading. So sometimes we see a little bit of an increase in that yellow number. But I believe, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but looking at my reports for Duffield last year, by the end of the year, that green was surpassing that tremendously.
Okay, so hopefully we can have these numbers then again at the end of the year so we can see the growth.
I just wanted to add, I have a very loud voice, I have to speak lower. It's the Italian in me, I'm sorry. When a student takes the diagnostic test in the beginning of the year, if they're, say, for example, a first grader, for them to score on grade level, they would have to master first grade skills within the diagnostic. So it's expected in the fall diagnostic for them to be 1 grade level below. So I just wanted to make that clear because I think it'll make the data make much more sense.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So let me just make sure I'm hearing this clearly. the first line that, for the reading that says 12% and move, what is the second line for 26% then? That is the winter, correct? So for the growth, it was 49 to 35. And yes, that's growth, but I'm saying like 35%. With math, it was even higher. That's still a lot of students. It was 52% are 1 to 2 grade levels below in math. I think this data is great because like Ms. Leahy said, that now we can maybe pinpoint on what the students need. So I think the more that we are using this, the better we're going to get. So I am excited about the program. I just wanted to make sure I'm reading this correctly, and that number is still a big number of kids who are, considered below the grade level.
I'm sorry, Michael. Something I did want to add, and I might be going off script here, so just bear with me. So for the individual students, when they do take the diagnostic, it provides an individualized student report that provides actual next steps that target specific skills that students need. And with those specific skills, our teachers can use those and use them within their small group instruction. And it also provides them, in addition to the MyPath that they have, they can work independently. This is a broader picture of what their needs are, but there's so much in-depth data that's involved with the iReady reports that's useful for us as administrators and for our teachers.
Yeah, I think that's great. I really do. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future just because this is amazing data to have and, a great tool.
Yes.
I'd be interested to see, sorry, I also have a loud voice.
Oh, there you are.
I'd be interested to see what this same data would be if the students took the test in the spring also.
They do.
Oh, so
yes.
we just don't have it?
Yes, and yeah, so in springtime, they'll take it in May. We just had our mid-administration in mid-January, and we take it in May. And that's great because then you really got to see the amount of growth that our students have made from the beginning of the year. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, great. Next slide, please. Okay, great. So what do we do with this data? We take this data and we make grade level and classroom level data-informed decision making. Using this data, we analyze data sets to use lenses of growth and grade level proficiency. We build actionable instructional plans that provide instructional coherence across the tiers. We strategize, we set goals, and we implement plans. And we assess, reflect, and celebrate growth. And I know that we've talked a lot about the small group instruction that our teachers are providing, but I also want to add that aside from the teacher-led groups, our students are also working independently in small groups. So there have been many times where I've walked into a first grade classroom, and there's a group of first graders that are working together independently on a collaborative activity aligned with their goals. That increases student agency as well as their independence. Our targeted group of instruction, which I know that Mrs. Kimball had mentioned earlier, are fluid. So students are responding to our targeted interventions, and the groups are reorganized according to the student need. And it's nice to see the growth because it shows the fruits of all the hard work of all of our teachers. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Renda.
Good evening. I think that's better for sound. One feature of the iReady program I'd like to highlight is the iReady Diagnostic Performance Report for families in reading and math. Beginning in June 2026, student performance reports will be available to parents through the Assessment tab in the eSchool Parent Portal. The June Family Report will include 3 diagnostic performance results for fall, winter, and spring, allowing parents to view their child's growth over the 2025-2026 school year. The report provides information about a student's current placement, their growth, and national percentile ranking, offering families a clear picture of their child's academic progress. Beginning in the 2026-2027 school year, diagnostic performance reports will continue to be available through the Assessment tab in the eSchool Parent Portal after each diagnostic administration. I would also like to add that iReady is just one measure. We use multiple measures within the district to assess a student's whole learning. We'd like to thank the Board of Education for its continued support and collaboration in strengthening instructional programs. Your partnership helps ensure we can provide meaningful tools and resources that support student growth and success. Thank you, and we invite any other questions.
Yeah, I think this is great. I think parents are going to love this data and to be able to, watch their own child grow and want to know their needs and, everything about that. So I think that is great. Ms. Leahy could have led with that we're going to get this report. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, everyone, and thank you
Thank
to
you.
your staff also for all you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
You guys are also welcome to stay or leave at your discretion. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. You're going to miss Mr. Hauser's budget presentation, by the way. Coming up next, Mr. Hauser, Assistant Superintendent Business Operation, will give us a brief presentation on the proposed revenue and expenditures.
Okay, good evening and thank you. I tried to be very optimistic. I made 20 copies of the budget. I placed them right on the edge of the stage, so if anyone is interested in taking a copy, please feel free to do so. For the trustees, there is a copy of this presentation in your folder that was provided. And also for the public, a copy of this presentation is also on the district's website. So this is going to be the fourth presentation for the 2026-27 proposed budget. But this presentation is the actual first time we're rolling out the initial draft of the expenditures as well as the revenues. As we've done each meeting, we show the calendar of events in order to get us to the finish line with the budget. So we're slowly approaching that 60-day mark, where at the bottom of this calendar is May 19th for the actual budget vote and the school board election. I highlighted in yellow in the middle of the calendar tonight's presentation, and then at the next board meeting on March 24th, take a look at the second draft. Hopefully by then, we will have the state legislature's budget with our final state aid numbers, but in the past, that number hasn't come till either April or even May. This slide, and I apologize, the font is very small. This is just another way. We showed this once before, the tax cap calculation. This is just the updated calculation, and it just shows, for the most part, all the numbers that go into actually calculating not only what the cap is, but what the actual tax levy is. That's the maximum amount of money that the school district can actually collect from the residential homeowners as well as the commercial businesses. And I highlighted that towards the bottom in yellow, so you can see that the proposed levy is a little over $148 million, and that it represents a 2.15% increase. The next slide. So as part of the tax cap calculation, the Office of the State Comptroller allows what's called exclusions. Those are items that you're allowed to place into the tax cap that are actually, I'll say, excluded from the cap. So they can actually benefit a district by increasing the amount of monies that can be collected in the levy. So on the very top line, I showed what our initial tax cap number was, which is about $147 million, or 1.45%. We showed that in a prior presentation. And we've identified a number of projects that the district would like to do in the upcoming school year, mainly technology projects as well as plant and facilities projects that total a little over $1 million. And so we are allowed to include that in the tax cap calculation. And that brings us to the very bottom of this screen, the revised tax cap number, which is $148,840,000. And that number is the 2.15 that I acknowledged in the prior statement. So programs. One of the programs we'd like to talk about right now is the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program, often referred to as the UPK program. So we have an opportunity, and we're looking into expanding our current program by 2 to 3 sections to meet the needs of the community, but that will come at no additional cost to the community. The governor's proposed budget includes increases in funding for UPK, and that will also result in savings.
Yeah, just to be clear, we talked in the past about the per student aid threshold. There's a specific category of aid that could only, state aid, that could only be used for UPK, and it's had a cap on how much per student, and that cap has not realized the actual cost, and that's actually resulted in most districts across New York State, including Connecticut, actually not being able to utilize all the available UPK specific state aid, and having to actually budget out of the general fund money to offset. What we're hearing from the governor, I believe the Senate in their version of the budget is also recommending what the governor's recommending. So this is one of the positives coming out of the state budget, is that we should both realize a savings out of our general budget, which is definitely needed, and we should be able to add a couple of sections based on the parent need as we've had the UPK registration.
Thank you, Dr. Senamore. So other programs that we would like to speak about are the Alternative High School program, the Alternative Learning Center and Credit Recovery program, the High School Academy, our BOCES Summer Enrichment program, and as well as at the bottom, a new program from the town of Islip. This is a new summer program called the Town of Islip Summer Playground Program. So just going back up to the top, for the Alternative High School, this is a program we are recommending that we not move forward with for the 2026-27 school year. Currently, that program has about 15 students in it, and that comes at a cost of about $140,000. The question? Okay. The second one is the Alternative Learning Center and also the Credit Recovery Program. Currently, there are 6 students in that program, and that's at a cost of about $188,000.
I just have a question. Can you just explain why we're not recommending going forward with one that is less expensive and currently has more students in it versus the one that's more with serving less students?
Yeah, I could start that.
You understand what I'm saying? We're talking about not recommending moving forward with the alternative high school, but it says we have 15 students at 140.
So I'll start that conversation, and then Ms. Poppy can join in. BOCES has undercharged us for the alternative high school, and it does get confusing because we have 3 programs running simultaneous in the evening, and it can get confusing. I can have Ms. Poppy kind of piggyback me a little bit, but what BOCES said to us last year was that we need to charge you a whole lot more, and we asked them for a 1-year reprieve, and they granted it to us. That was the year we're currently in. But the cost for the alternative high school is really going to skyrocket. The other 2 programs that are in there at the same time, when students get suspended from school, they are, especially if it's a prolonged suspension, not 1 or 2 days, they're offered the opportunity generally to go to the Alternative Learning Center in the evening. And then we have students in the high school who are at risk of not graduating. Obviously, we have a very high high school graduation rate, always around 99%. And one of the reasons it's always around 99% is that we have a credit recovery in place. So, the need for the ALC, because discipline does happen, and certainly the need for graduation. And we feel like in terms of the alternative high school, we can meet those needs in other ways. I know there may be some questions I don't want to, meet those needs in district. Ms. Poppy, if you could shed maybe a little bit more light on some of the differentiation with these 3 evening programs.
Of course. I do want to make a point to say that although the Alternative Learning Center is currently hosting 6 students, that number fluctuates on a daily basis. right? So I know that that number looks small in comparison to the AHS, the alternative high school, but you could see more or fewer students in there on any given day, depending on the situation, I'll say. Our credit recovery program just started up, and so that is at a cost of seat as opposed to a programmatic cost, an overall cost. It's a little more, I'll say, tuition friendly, but it's all wrapped into that 188 number that Mr. Hauser spoke about. The alternative high school has been in existence for, I do believe, the better part of 15 years now. It's a Twilight High School program. The number has fluctuated of students who are enrolled in it, and I will say, according to what Dr. Senamore said, is that we share in the expense for this program through Eastern Suffolk BOCES with another school district. So our grace period by BOCES was due in part to the fact that the other school district consistently hosts more students, and they were able to kind of offset a cost for us. Typically, we start with a very small number in this program. For instance, this year, entering in September, we had 4 students enrolled. The number has climbed as the school year has moved forward, and we generally see that trend. But that's another program where, it's not a static 15-student population typically. That fluctuates as well, although not as significantly and certainly periodically as the ALC, the Alternative Learning Center, does.
So I just have a quick question on the cost. You're saying that because BOCES is picking up some of our costs for the alternative high school is why because it's almost 3 times the cost per student more for the alternative high school. Like, you're looking at $31,000 per student at the Learning Center versus $9,000 at the alternative high school. BOCES is picking up almost $20,000 per student. That's a lot.
For the alternative high school?
Yeah.
Currently, they have been doing that for us. They have
Okay.
not been charging us for seats. And Dr. Senamore and I had a very frank conversation with BOCES about a year ago, wherein they stated we'll no longer be able to do that for ConnectBot.
Got it. And that's not
They're
this year.
expecting
So
us.
now it's going to be
correct.
the same price per student for both. Is that what?
It wouldn't be equivalent. It would be more of an investment for the alternative high school.
Got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
My question is, why is it so much more expensive?
So I will say there's another little component here that I want to bring to light, and that is that I think we spoke at the last board meeting about the alternative to the Alternative Learning Center, right? That's our home teaching protocols, and some of that has to do with student need, some of it has to do with staffing in the ALC and what we're able to accommodate in terms of student support. And so the piece of having that instructional availability for students remains important, because the other side of the coin is home tutoring costs, right? Which aren't highlighted on this slide, but I think they could kind of bring some finer resolution to the importance to keeping the ALC in play for students.
So I just want to clarify, this alternative high school is if a kid, hypothetically, a kid gets in trouble and they go kind of after hours to the alternative school.
I'm very glad you're asking, because it's not a student who is necessarily a disciplined student.
Okay.
Okay, it's a student who, for lack of a better description, doesn't fit the mold of a traditional high school experience. For instance, we have had students in there who are involved in professional dance, and their schedules dictate that they can't participate in a regular school day. And so they've attended high school successfully through the alternative high school over the years. We've had students in there who are, I'll call it school phobic, for lack of a better term, students who are really reticent to participate in a regular instructional day with the general population, who thrive in a smaller setting, but aren't necessarily behavioral concerns of the traditional, in the traditional sense.
Right, but isn't that emotional? Doesn't that warrant evaluation of another sort? I mean, this is.
Sure, it
Right.
could, and it would be on a case-by-case basis, right? And over the years, that program has morphed in terms of the teachers who we've brought in and the supports that they're able to provide through their certifications. So I think Ms. Torregrossa asked during the last meeting, couldn't we have special educators in the alternative high school? And it is a bare bones sort of program. Generally, the teachers are general educators, but over the years, the principal of that program has made a concerted effort to ensure that staff members have dual certifications, say, in special education. So she's able to service more of a population in that setting.
Is her name a confidential secret? Oh, you keep saying her, I don't know who it is. Who are we talking about?
I don't know, Mr. Fasano, am I able to say the principal's name of this program?
Principal of a
She's
program.
not, she's our employee, it's okay? Okay, Mrs. Berger. And this is a BOCES program, right? So she works for BOCES in the evening. We host, so we host the setting, but it is a BOCES program in the evening. And we're we're paying tuition for our students to attend this BOCES program to earn their high school credentialing.
Could we offset that if someone has, for instance, they're professional dancers, right? Would the parents offset that cost for the regular? I understand covering the regular education. Having said that that's a choice that's made, what about the offset of the difference? Like, I still am not really understanding the double the amount.
I can appreciate that. So it's a contractual commitment between the district and BOCES, right? BOCES says that we can offer this program in your schools, and the district signed on for this many years ago to say that we're able to offer this structure in your schools for this price.
So it's been 20,000 for 15 years?
So it's been, I'd have to look back at all of the contracts that ever were, right, to see how the cost to the district has fluctuated over the years.
Maybe it would behoove us to do it.
But
no?
what BOCES has been doing, which you're not going to see on the contract, is they've been, and this is the reason why we're considering this at this point, is they've been charging us by the seat rather than by the program.
Okay.
And that conversation that Dr. C and I had with BOCES last year was, we can no longer do that. It's not an exact reflection of what's in our contract. We have to start charging you by the program. And Dr. Senamore was convincing enough to establish a one-year grace period for us so that we could really wrap our heads around some of the monetary considerations, really track student attendance, see where these students could potentially fit in if it were not, feasible to continue with the alternative high school. So we've been taking a close look at it, having some serious conversations about how student enrollment has kind of trended this year, and really what we're talking about in terms of these students, if our recommendation were to be that we wouldn't continue offering this particular program.
Point of clarification, just to make sure, sorry. ALC is discipline strictly? And, well, I know, I mean, like, just to get placed in ALC, it would, like, there is no other, like, caveat, like.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure that it's good. So-
And AHS is not, it's not for a disciplinary consideration.
I just want to be sure that, however we go with this, the students are not losing out. Because if we have students that do have, say, the dance or just their life, that works for them, the alternative high school, I want to make sure that we still have a place for them. I don't want to leave them out. So I don't know how this is going to affect them if they're in the middle of their schooling. Maybe they're a freshman, a sophomore. What happens to them next year? Where do they go?
We're looking to service as many of our kids and their needs in-house. So, in terms of the programs that we're recommending not to continue, those are currently not in the budget development. It's a board consideration. If we wanted to continue, we'd have to then put it into the budget development. And when Mr. Hauser gets to that slide, we know that we we do right now have a pretty considerable gap. One of the themes that we're going to talk about tonight, whether it's this slide or a future slide, is we're going to meet the needs of our students, K-12 across ability levels, and we're going to look to meet their needs in district as much as possible. And a big component of this is going to be a shift in mindset. We have a great staff, a great leadership team, but shifting the mindset across the board that we can service the vast majority of our kids, whether they have learning needs, behavioral needs, emotional needs, in district. And that needs to be a major focus in the immediate and moving forward. That ties directly into meeting the needs of all kids while sustaining, while being fiscally sustainable.
Okay, so moving on down the list here to the fourth bullet, we have the BOCES Summer Enrichment Program that I believe we have run at one of our elementary schools. Slocum was the last recently. We ran it there. So this is another program that we are recommending as part of the 2026-27 budget to not include this program. As you can see from the sub-bullet there, this past summer there were approximately 100 students that attended that program. Am I correct? The parents pay? The parents correct pay for that program, but it still costs our district about $41,000 to contribute towards that program.
Right, I'll jump in, Ms. Townsend, and we skipped one, and I'll go back to it. I don't want to, the new program, the town of Islip, years ago, but not too many years ago, I think right before COVID, they offered a summer recreational program. The hours might be a little bit different, but it is an alternative program. It may not have an enrichment piece, but what we're getting in terms of the feedback on the actual enrichment component of the other program, it wasn't very robust. And in terms of cost to the district, the town program would just be, us providing a security guard. And so, what's nice about this is that while we're recommending not to go with the BOCES Summer Enrichment Program, we are recommending let's have this alternative in place.
Okay, so my apologies, I missed that third bullet.
Yeah, and in terms of the high school academy, that's an alternative program that's during the school day, and it's very staff heavy, and we really feel that we can service these students in the mainstream of the high school and repurpose the staff, and we think that's an important consideration for the budget development and serving all students and programmatically moving forward.
Any other questions or comments on these 5 programs? Okay. So as we've moved through the budget process here over the last few weeks, one of the areas that we have been focusing on are staff retirements and attrition. So at the moment, we're looking at approximately 7 elementary and secondary positions for staff members who have, I'll say, announced that they are retiring, and whether those positions should be filled or not. Okay, we're also, with the second bullet here, we're also reviewing all current vacancies, vacated positions, as well as any anticipated vacancies that might come up in the next few weeks. Okay, so in my opinion, this is the most important slide. I think, Dr. Senamo, you might agree that this summary here, although it may be difficult for you to see it out in the audience there, this really is a snapshot at the moment of the current budget. And up at the top, we have a line called Proposed Expenditure Budget. If you go over to the right, to the column in green, that is our current budget that we're operating under right now, the $229 million budget. If you carry it over one more column, the number I believe is 233,651. That represents right now at the moment as we speak, and this budget is fluid, a $4.5 million increase or an even 2%. All right, so that's spending-wise expenditures. If you go down the next line that I highlighted in bold, those are the proposed revenues. This is how we propose at the moment to actually pay for those expenditures that I just highlighted. So I'm just going to, since this is the first time we're presenting this slide, I'm just going to go through each one of these so that in case anyone has a question, we can address it. So the first item, other miscellaneous revenue, I'm just going to mention a few categories that go in there. Number one is something called pilot payments, all right, payments in lieu of taxes. That's usually from the commercial tax base based on the Industrial Development Agency of Islip. We get revenues from the IDA. It also includes interest earnings on our bank accounts. So many of you may have experienced, I'll say about 6 months ago, rates were higher at the bank than they are right now. So we are doing our best to try to budget for what we think interest rates might be starting July 1st and then all the way through the next school year. And I mention that because if you carry that line all the way over, it shows a decrease of about $582,000. Most of that is attributable to interest earnings. So we're trying to factor in as best we can the decrease in interest rates and how that affects us. There are a number of other items in there. One of them would be the rent that we get from BOCES to rent our Prem building on Montauk Highway in Oakdale, and then a few other revenue sources in there. The next line, called the appropriated fund balance, and in parentheses, I put the balance as of June 30th. So when we finally closed our books last school year, and we had the auditors issue the audited report, the balance was $8,288,000. That number is often referred to as the 4% number. So we are allowed to keep 4% of the subsequent year's budget in that fund balance there. That $8,200,000 number is slightly below the 4% number. Third line, workers' comp. So we have a reserve that's established, and I never like to talk about this, but it is reality that if an employee were to get hurt on the job, okay, if an employee were to get injured on the job, and they were to receive benefits or some type of an award, we are allowed to take the money out of that workers' comp reserve to pay for those payments. Right? That balance in that reserve as of June 30th was $3,899,000. Okay. The next one is the Employee Benefit Accrued Liability Reserve, often referred to as the EBLAR. All right, that is our largest reserve. Balance as of June 30th, 2025 was $9,957,000. That represents all of our employees who have accrued sick time. The value of that sick time, I'll say if every one of those employees were to leave the district at the same time, the district's liability would have to be paid out of that reserve. Another reserve is the Employee Retirement System Reserve, often known as ERS. That is for non-instructional, I'll say non-teaching and non-administrative employees. We had a reserve of $4 million $98,000 as of June 25th. Okay. Next line, Teachers Retirement System Reserve, often referred to as TRS. The balance back in June was $1,701,000. Following line, Unemployment Insurance Reserve. This reserve is set up for employees who leave the district but may be entitled to unemployment compensation. We are self-insured for that. So dollar for dollar, any benefits that are paid have to be paid by the district, and we can take them out of that reserve. The following reserve is our insurance reserve. That had a balance of $1,554,000. Following one is the capital reserve, $1,941,000. The next reserve is our repair reserve, 200 and, is that a 9 or a 3? Can't tell. Third, thank you, 230,000. And then the last reserve, which we do not have a balance in anymore, is what's called a debt service fund reserve. Just a note on the reserves, we are not allowed to take any more out of the reserves than we are budgeting for the expense. So if we just go back up for a minute to the unemployment insurance reserve, even though it has $621,000 in that reserve as of June of 2025, if you carry that all the way over to the 2026-27 proposed budget, we are only proposing to take $117,000 out of that reserve because that's what we included in the budget for the expenditure. So just because you have more money in those reserves, it doesn't mean you can just take as much as you want. You can only take what the expenditure is going to be. Going down, just under that debt service fund is state aid. Okay, so we were told of the governor's proposed budget back in late January. What the governor's proposed state aid is, that number includes $1,900,000 for universal pre-kindergarten or UPK. That $1.9 million actually goes into a different fund within the district called the special aid fund. So we reduce that because it's not part of the district's general fund. So if you see that number in green, a year ago we budgeted $59,005,241, and this year it's $59,045,766, a slight increase of about $40,000. That number is tentative right now. We are expecting, hopefully by the end of March, to hear from the state legislature what the final state aid number was. We're hearing that one particular component of state aid, called foundation aid, is going to have another 1% increase. So,
yeah, my apologies, Mr. Hauser. I just wanted to, I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. Attention Kmart shoppers. So the foundation aid is one of the most significant aid categories there are because unlike many of the other ones, it is not based on reimbursement for what you might have spent the previous year or the previous several years. So the governor in her executive budget proposed a minimum of 1% in foundation aid increase for school districts across the state. Some, based on demographics and other needs, got much more than that. Connecticut fell into that minimal category of 1%. Now we're hearing from the Senate that they want to propose a minimum of 2%. So what Mr. Hauser has alluded to is that an additional 1% of foundation aid is $364,000. Not a lot when you look at a total budget of $233 million. In terms of additional revenue from this point forward, we are not anticipating any other additional revenue. We have a tax levy percent right now that's formula based, and that's another thing to mention to our community. We try to mention this every year. Every school district is going to have a different tax levy percent increase because it's formula based. 12, 13 years ago when the tax cap came out, everybody gave it the nickname the 2% cap. You could have a 0, you could have a negative, you could have a 3 or 4. It's all formula based. The 2% really has to do with the cost of living, the CPI, which is one component. But in terms of revenue, we're not expecting to get more than 1% of foundation aid moving forward. If we were to get 2%, then we would get an extra 364 on top of what we were anticipating. But the fact that the Senate just came out recommending 2, we haven't heard from the House, the Assembly up in Albany, but I wouldn't expect more than what Mr. Hauser has projected.
All right, thank you, Dr. Senamore. I'll try to speak a little faster so I don't get cut off again. Okay. All right, so bottom line here is if you look at the cell that I highlighted in yellow, that's the actual difference or the shortfall right now as we speak. $3,469,000 is the shortfall. So that number, by the time the board adopts in April, has to be 0. So that's what we are diligently working our way each day and every hour to try to get that number down. And then the bottom of the screen just shows the effect on different scenarios based on assessed values for residential homes in the area. Any questions before I go on?
I do. So that 1%, because we didn't fall into the bracket, if we had an accurate, actual number of, and I'm going to say it again, homeless people, Section 8, all of these different variables, as well as kids that live out of district but are going to school here, without us really following up on that. You're talking potentially a different percentage, yes?
So when you're saying the other students,
didn't fall
foster
into-
students?
No. Dr. Senamore said that we fell into the 1%. We only received 1%. Other districts, I guess, I'm assuming, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. Other districts that have, I guess, more homeless, more whatever, get a larger percentage, yes?
It's a complicated formula, and I know a lot of districts, especially in our area, fell into the minimal category. Not all, but a lot. It's a pretty complicated formula. You're talking to a hypothetical in terms of, what we have in terms of our population. I think Connecticut for years and years, has fallen into this category when they've established, any kind of minimal thresholds.
Okay. So coming to the end here. So we just wanted to highlight a few items. I mean, when I get to the end of this presentation, you're going to see there's 23 additional pages to this budget with over 1,000 line items that make up the expenditure budget. So we just wanted to highlight a few of the significant higher increases that we are experiencing as we speak right now. So one of them, out-of-district placements, that is increasing about 2.6 million, almost 22%. The community approved the bond back in 2022. As we borrow monies on that bond, often called a bond anticipation note, we have to start making principal reduction payments. So that's up about $1,250,000 or 83%. Health insurance for all of our active employees as well as our retirees. We're anticipating that going up just shy of $1 million, or about 3.2%. The New York State retirement, which I mentioned there's a reserve for the employee retirement system. So all non-instructional, all non-administrators, that rate that we have to contribute towards the New York State retirement system is going up about 15% or 650,000. Social Security, so every time an employee, their salary increases, the Social Security or FICA rate, we owe that, so that's going up about 493,000 or 5%. And then the last one is BOCES related occupational ed services, 445,000 or 18%. So we're just highlighting a few items in the budget with significant increases.
So earlier I spoke about that first bullet and us being focused on servicing our students with various learning needs in-house as much as possible moving forward. In terms of that last bullet, this has also been an area of focus for us for well over a year. We're looking to create space and we're looking to bring in-house career-type programs. I just give you an example of some of the different ones that we've been looking at: cosmetology, electrical HVAC, clinical medical, just as examples of just some of the various types of programs. Because in terms of fiscal sustainability moving forward, in terms of meeting our student interests, preparing our students for the future, we do need to expand in this area, and we need both space and we need to target, programs, and we need to bring some more of our kids back in-house with this. And so this remains an ongoing focus and priority.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah, I have a few things to say about this. I'm adding up these numbers on this last slide. It's about 6.4 million altogether, the one that's on display right now, that it looks like we're going to be increasing. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not happy with how this looks at all. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. The deficit is not good. And I'm going to read an email that was actually sent. I had actually asked about this to have discussed at our February meeting. I didn't receive an answer, neither did the person who emailed. The email is about a contingency plan, and we were asked, as the district proceeds through the current 2026-27 budget cycle, tax year 26-27, I'm writing to formally request clarification regarding the district's contingency planning should the proposed budget not be approved by the voters. In addition, I am requesting a copy of the district's most recent contingency budget plan from the prior budget cycle, including any documentation outlining reductions, eliminations, or operational changes that were planned or implemented. Accordingly, I'm requesting the following information related to the 26-27 budget cycle. What is the district's contingency plan if the proposed 26-27 budget is defeated? Which expenditures would be reduced or eliminated under a contingency budget, and how those determinations will be made? What programs, services, staffing positions, or capital initiatives would be directly impacted? How would a contingency budget affect class sizes, extracurricular activities, and student support services? What is the anticipated timeline for implementing contingency measures following a budget defeat? What communication plan would the district use to inform families, staff, and the community should the budget not pass? Providing both the prior contingency plan and the current contingency framework would promote transparency and allow the community to better understand how the district prepares for and responds to a budget defeat. I'm not going to say who wrote that. You could all look back and see. It was sent on January 28th. I asked the next day to discuss this. And looking at this and the fact that there was another slide, and I get it, we want to do things in-house, but it just seems like we're looking to cut, alternative high school academy, the BOCES we're not going through. It's as much as we try, it doesn't look good. There's something being cut here. It's affecting students. Sure, we could work around that to try to find placement for them, but this is what we're looking at without even discussing a contingency plan for the next year, and we're on this. I'm nothing personal. I know it's very hard work to go through this. The state really doesn't, they don't like to give us a lot. 1% is not a lot. If you go to 2%, it's a little bit more, but I would like this information out there because this doesn't look very good to me, the way it stands right now. I got to be honest, I don't even know that I want to approve this because I don't like these numbers. I don't like what we're doing here. And the lack of transparency on a contingency plan sent by a community member, and then I asked as a board member for this to be answered at the last meeting, it was not brought up at all. I would like that information out there. I think people deserve to know it is their money, and we need to see what's going to happen. If this doesn't pass, we need to have a plan in place.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can go.
So, more than 3.5 million in the hole is not good. There's no way on God's green earth that we should be really finding out about this now. So clearly this should have been discussed a couple months ago, seeing this come down the pike. Wait a second. And I'm going to bring it up again, that 1%. I've been saying this for more than a year, okay? Even the kids that don't live in this district that are going to school here. 6 forms of identification. It's vague. Kinder, gentler, connect what? When we're a laughing stock because we don't do it. Okay? That's what? 9,000 here, 9,000 there. I know 4 kids. And we're sitting here penny pinching. This is absurd. And bringing things back in-house, I'm all for that. Okay? Welding, car maintenance, things like that. But just for fact basis, you can't bring in cosmetology. They go there to learn how to cut hair, okay, and things of that nature. There are things you can't bring back in. But this number is appalling. Should not be a surprise. I don't know what's going on, and I'm having a hard time accepting or swallowing any of this. Again, don't understand why it's March.
So if I'm looking at this list, most of it we don't have control over due to the fact that these are increases in the health insurance, state, Social Security, the fact that many of our students are now doing the occupational ed at BOCES. We had advocated for that a few years ago. We can bring them in-house. East Islip has a cosmetology in-house. There's other schools that are, it's Islip, I'm sorry, not East Islip, Islip. Who? Yeah. Oh, East Islip too, I didn't realize. So several schools do have these in-houses, and we could do that. The out-of-district placements, I do agree that, as we discussed, that to bring some of these in-house, we already have so many special ed programs that are now being rolled out that we might be able to bring this cost down. So, to blame the district or others, I agree with you that bond anticipation, that 1.2 million, I would think we knew that way in advance. But that's the only one on that list that I feel, we had control over.
And right now, the focus is on budget development, and obviously we'll also work on a contingency should the public vote down a budget.
So I have to agree with Jackie. I mean, this does not look good at all. A 2.15% increase is just a lot. A $3 million deficit is just crazy. But hopefully we can provide, and I know exactly what email you're talking to, and I remember you asking for clarification in public. Hopefully we can have a contingency plan to present to the community in case this budget does not pass, because a lot of it is from this, I have to put a lot of the onus on the state because they don't give us a lot of money. They just don't, 0.7% or 0.07, that's crazy. $40,000 on a $2.5 million budget. That's just nothing, but I would like to see a contingency plan also presented, just in case.
And to clarify, that is part of every budget process, a contingency plan. I'll say towards the end of April, probably the beginning of May, There's actually a document that gets mailed to the community that details the actual contingency plan. But if I could just highlight one item to you. On this screen here, if you were to look at the line in the middle of the screen, that is the amount to be raised by taxes. And if you carry that all the way over to the column in green, you see the 145,707,696. So if, and this is a big if scenario, if the district, the community were to vote down the budget, okay, and we were to go to a contingency budget, in summary, a contingency budget means you cannot increase the levy from the prior year. So that 145,707,000 that we raised to operate the current school year, that's the cap.
So it
You
stays
cannot
status
go.
quo.
Yes, exactly.
That's all you had to say.
So you see now, the situation we're in, we are in the initial stages right now. We're proposing to increase the levy by $3,132,000 or 2.15%. If we were to ever be in that contingency position, we have to go back to that $145 million number. And that's how we have to operate the district. I'm oversimplifying it, but I just wanted to highlight that particular item.
Just to go back to, because it's bothering me a little bit, the alternative high school, academy, ALC. With the alternative high school, we're talking, unless I'm way off mark here, we're talking about how out of district placement is a humongous cost factor, but then we're going to end up cutting an opportunity where 15 students were going to get a high school diploma that may not have otherwise gotten a diploma, and like where are they going to have to go? Out of district. Right. So like, are we not just like cutting off our nose to spite our face at that point? Because I don't think just because we get rid of the alternative high school, they're going to be like, well, now we can come to school in the day. So like they're going to have to go somewhere. So now we're back to increasing a cost of out of district placement.
And paying for it.
And it feels like that's like circular logic and defeats the purpose at the end of the day, right? Like that's just how, unless I'm misunderstanding what's happening there.
You're not.
Oh, the goal is still to address all of our students during the regular school day. In-house.
I agree, Melissa, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We're at the juncture now where we're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, okay? And you don't do that. And I'm so tired of tap dancing around it. Blame should be placed where blame should be placed, okay? This is not copacetic, this is not okay. This is 3.5 million. Where are we gonna get it from? And why is it March?
As I mentioned before, the last 23 pages of the budget, and this is for transparency purposes as well, are the detailed pages of every single one of the budget expenditure codes here. There's a history of the last two budgets, also some final expenditures, as well as an expenditure to date column, where we are to date in the current budget. And that column highlighted, I'll say in yellow, that represents the proposed budget as we speak. So if you agree, I don't think there's any reason to go through each of the 23 pages line by line. But certainly if anyone comes across a code and a line that they would like some more information, I'm it. So I'm the person who can provide that detailed information. So please request that of me if you have a question. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. I'm sure I will have questions. We did just get the printouts today, so probably March 24th, I'll probably have some questions for you. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, we spoke about a budget advisory committee, and I know people kind of laugh at it, but the fact is that you often have accountants and other people that do this for a living, that look through these and see things, okay? And we've had them. I don't know why they were discontinued, okay? But it also helps the community understand what's going on.
Sarah, I'm a fan of it. I've actually advocated for it myself. It used to be through the PTAs. The PTAs would designate a budget committee representative who would come in. Great. But I don't know why we got rid of it. I actually think it's great too.
Yet again, it's one more thing where members of the Board of Ed have stated something and smoke and mirrors, and 2 months later, crickets.
Well, I can say past boards disagreed about this, and it was turned down that we should do it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Can I please have a motion and a second to approve the first reading of policy 5500, student records, 5500-R, student records, and policy 8635, exhibit, parent right of bill for student data privacy?
Motion.
Second.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the policies?
I have one quick question, just for some clarification. And this is on policy 5500R, the one. Yeah, student records, it's on that one. Just about the exceptions to FERPA's prior consent requirements. One of them is an exception to FERPA. It states is to organizations conducting studies for, on behalf of education agencies or institutions in order to develop, test, administer student aid, or improve instruction. What type of organizations are we talking about? Because I'm not one to do anything without a parent knowing anything. So conducting studies, what organizations?
Then is that
I mean, yeah, like what are we waiving here? Because parents have to know what their children are being studied on, like what's being studied about.
So those are generally organizations conducted by the state education department. Occasionally the federal government, which will outline specific organizations to do these studies for certain types of developments of either policies or testing. I've not seen one in my years of representation here, probably my entire career, in which any of my school district clients that has happened. But it is in FERPA that is allowed.
So does that mean that we can't tell parents, or we can tell them? We can absolutely tell them, but we don't have to legally.
Correct, you can still tell them.
Okay.
Any other questions on the other policies? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Brazier, you're abstaining from all three? Just your microphone, please.
And that the one we just talked about.
The 5500R?
Yeah, R.
Okay, so you're a yes for the 5500 and a no for the other two?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Ibrahim is not here, so public comment. I will now open the floor for the first open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president. Comments shall be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with Policy 1230, public comment will not extend 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Number one.
Good evening. I wouldn't panic yet, but I'd certainly be deeply concerned. We don't know what's going to come down from the state. That's a wish. If wishes were horses, then beggars would ride. Okay, I got to cheer you up a little tonight. my workers always used to ask, how is this going to affect the price of rice? Okay. I didn't see anything in the budget for purchasing buses, but we'll get into that later probably. Some lighter things. Has there been any progress on our name change? Yes or no?
We are at a standstill at the present time. There's no
Nothing.
progress.
Okay, we just fed some lawyers. Okay, fine. Are we having any problem with the drivers? Because now even if you have a green card and you came into the country in a strange way, they don't want you to have a driver's license. I don't know if any of our drivers come into that category.
We really can't get into those kind of specifics, but we're always looking to maximize our drivers, and so that's just another challenge in terms of
It's not a
being able
challenge.
to recruit and retain drivers.
I know we have a problem getting drivers. That's another challenge. There's probably also been no moratorium on what the state is demanding on electric vehicles, but we can't fully sweep it under the rug. There are some fixes. Everything has a fix. I know we would never be able to park 100 electric vehicles here, but when it comes down to maybe 2035, maybe we may have to park them around the district or, at different schools. We don't even have the electricity here or the space to park 100 buses. I suggested once, we talked to Angie Carpenter, maybe there's a place where there's electricity available and there's a room to park 100 buses, but it's something we should look into in the future. We shouldn't just put it aside. Let me see, that's about it.
So just to clarify, we do vet all of our drivers, and any adjustments that the state makes with licensures, then we, obviously, us and every other school district, we're required to adhere to. In terms of the electric bus mandate, which is still in effect, the law is on the books, it hasn't been adjusted. We are one of the strongest advocates to push back that timeline. ConnectQuad is, for obvious reasons, with 120 to 130 bus fleet. And that advocacy has remained strong, and we're still fighting the good fight, hoping that they will adjust that timeline. We haven't seen any adjustments in the proposed state budget, because oftentimes the state will legislate through the budget, but we're still hoping that the legislative session will run through June. We're hoping that there will be an adjustment. They have allowed for waivers where you could apply for a waiver, and we're in the process of gathering information to apply for that waiver. And so that would be helpful in terms of the initial implementation. Instead of it being 2027, it approved for a 2-year waiver, then you wouldn't have to implement until 2029. There is the opportunity then for a second waiver to delay implementation, but the caveat is that the total implementation date of 2035 is still in effect. So not just ConnectQuad, but across the state, districts, are advocating. And it's important to realize that you don't have to own your own fleet to be impacted, because
No.
even if you contract, you're going to pay it through the contractor. For us, with our robust fleet, obviously, and when you look at the bus yard, the infrastructure, your points are excellent. The grid can't provide that kind of electricity right now. Spacing would certainly be a concern, because how far apart you'd have to space the buses just from a fire suppression, component. But our advocacy remains strong.
That's a good idea. We don't have to own the whole fleet. That's a very good idea. May come down to that. I don't know if I'll be around when it comes down to that. I'm really, really concerned that we're talking about a budget today, but tomorrow we don't know what electricity is going to cost, what water is going to cost, what fuel is going to cost, what some of the expendables are going to cost. That this budget is probably one of the trickiest balances act that I think that we're going through, that we've had in a long time. The budget will pass because people, especially myself, are very much for education, even if they had to sit under a tree. But it's going to be a difficult ride. It's going to be a difficult ride because with everything going up. I mean, the gasoline, of course, is going up. Diesel fuel is going up. The cost of just expendable items that we go through are going up. Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Number 2.
So I'm going to fight the facts from your fiction because I don't think you guys know what you're even talking about. You aren't doing what's best for students. You're cutting the students' focused programs. I witnessed prior Board of Ed members, Ray, Mylin, Eileen, and others, who did a much better job than this Board of Ed in doing what was supposed to be done, line by line, and find the money. You don't blame Mr. Hauser, who does a fantastic job under, I'm positive, stressful situation with everybody constantly giving it to him. And Bob, you do a great job. He's done a great job for years. He was by far the best accountant that I have seen here in a long, long time. So that's first. Second, Budget Advisory Committee. It's a fantastic idea. But if you listen to the community and committee members, and you don't, the Budget Advisory Committee was stopped because people stopped going to the 2 times a month meetings because nothing the committee advised was ever taken seriously and given any credence to be placed in the budget. You showed with the mascot, you don't listen to the community. And you certainly now have wasted even more money with the federal government coming against Connecticut. April, that was your big thing. Congratulations, you wanted T-Birds at the federal government's expense. Now, actually, Connecticut's expense from the federal government coming after you guys. I can't wait to hear what you're doing with that, or are you just hiding that under the rug again? Now, starting with the alternative high school, judging by having over 125 Connecticut students graduate with a diploma over the successful 16 years of the program, I would say that's well worth it. As for Connecticut's at-risk, marginalized population, some getting bullied at the high school so badly they had to find another place to get an education. Students and their families find the program a saving grace where their kids are finally successful and loving school once again. The savings alone on the suspensions and home tutoring costs far outweigh the cost of the program. Connecticut also offers students a credit recovery option. Now you're removing that too. The district would have to pay contract salaries for any program that does not run through BOCES. And doesn't Connecticut get aid back for this? You seem to really be doing this because you know an admin is retiring and other admins want to cash in on a program running through the district. When 2 admins, APs ran the program, I guess you guys all forget, for a short period of time, I recall, teachers and students wanted to leave. How's that for a good service at Connecticut? And what is the rate for home tutoring versus the seat cost of a student at the ALC? That's a suspension program. And the Academy Day program. Is sending kids to alternate high school because the students are not successful there. Your ALC cost is your ALC cost is not accurate. The enrollment changes daily. Maybe you should invite the principal admin from these programs to exec to find out the successes of the programs and the results over the last 16 years, instead of this board and admin clearly using visible personal vendettas towards other admins for your puppet master. Everyone knows that the man that shall not be named is behind a lot of this. And I have to tell you, it's absolutely disgusting because these are the facts, not the fiction you guys are spreading. This is disgusting. You are cutting students' programs. You say you're students first, you are not students first. You are not
No,
students
we are
first.
not. No, Ms. Parisi, we are not screaming
You are not
at the
students
community.
first.
This
If
is
you are
her
students
time
first-
to speak. We are listening. We are not screaming it. Continue.
As for students first, if you're students first, that at the next budget meeting, this won't all be here. Because you, the Board of Ed, vote on this, the majority vote on this. You direct the superintendent and then direct your budget how you want it to go. I'll be voting no,
do
and
just
I'll be
need you to wrap
spreading
it
that
up.
to everybody. I will be voting no on this because this hurts students.
Thank you. Number 3.
To clarify, to make sure I understood correctly, the ALC was not on the table.
The ALC was not on the table.
Not that any of it should be. I just want to make sure I wasn't misunderstood. That was the one.
That was my understanding. The ALC is not on the table.
And the ALC is
And-
the one
and the
thing
credit
that did not.
recovery.
Okay.
Right.
I just want to make sure.
Please. Hi.
In the process of creating curriculum for the Portrait of a New York State Graduate, I've been listening to discussions that would diminish DEI initiatives and significantly minimize the goals of the portrait. So I did some research, and I think it's important for us to understand that the political landscape has significantly changed over the last several weeks, and I'd like to share my research with you. First, the argument that we must move away from DEI to comply with federal pressure is no longer valid. On August 14th, 2025, in the case of American Federation of Teachers versus the U.S. Department of Education, a federal court officially vacated the national anti-DEI directives, ruling them unconstitutionally vague. More importantly, on January 21st, 2026, the U.S. Department of Education officially dropped its appeal for that ruling. By doing so, the federal government has conceded that it cannot legally threaten to cut our funding for teaching CRT or maintaining DEI programs. Federal interference in our DEI initiatives is for all intents and purposes dead. Because the federal threat has vanished, the New York State Board of Regents DEI framework and the Dignity of All Students Act stand as the primary legal authorities for our district. The New York State Portrait of a Graduate specifically defines a graduate as someone who is culturally responsive and values diverse perspectives. Under New York law, local school boards cannot simply opt out of these requirements. Banning these initiatives would not only violate the state's regulatory framework, but would also expose this board to direct litigation from the state attorney general for failing to provide an equitable environment for all students, including our LGBTQ students who are protected under these same DEI umbrellas. To protect this district from unnecessary and costly legal battles, this board must align with the state-level mandates. Our curriculum must reflect the diversity and inclusion the state of New York requires. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Number 4. Anybody else? Okay. There have been some items pulled from the financial matter, so I will do these individually. Well, not individually, but as they were pulled. So can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 1, the overtime reports for July 1st, 2025 through July 31st, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, from what I understand, there's overtime that's been paid out, but there's also a lot of mistakes. People have been shorted time, they've been not paid for certain other things. It's a mess. And it's more than just 1 or 2 people. Like, I really think it needs to be, people need to go over it yet again. So until that's done, my answer's no.
All in favor? Aye. Any noes? Ms. Parisi's a no. Any abstentions? Can I have a motion and a second to approve items number 2, the Treasurer's Report from January 2026, number 3, the Trial Balance Report, July 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026, and items 6, Cash Flow Report, July 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026, and number 7, the Claims Auditor Reports for December 25 and January and February 2026.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on those 4 items? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Ms. Parisi is a no. Any abstentions? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 4, the Appropriation Status Reports, July 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Ms. Parisi is a no. Any abstentions? Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 5, the Revenue Status Report, July 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on that one?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Ms. Parisi is abstaining. All right, thank you. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve the instructional and the non-instructional personnel items as presented?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So there were also a few items pulled from the consent agenda. And there was a table. Can I have a motion and a second to table item number 3, the emergency boiler replacement for idle hour?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion and a second to approve items 2, 4 through 8, and 10 through 16?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on those items?
Yeah, I had a few questions. I was actually, I didn't know we were pulling a few beforehand. There were a few that I wanted to pull separate vote as well.
Okay.
Just 3 of them, well, just 3, 4, 14, and 15.
4, 14, and 15?
Yes.
Okay. So let me redo the motions. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 2, 5 through 8, 10 through 13, and number 16?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on those?
Yeah, I did have a question. Not for pulling, just a question. I want to make sure my numbers match because this is different from what I had at home. I think it's 7. The budget development guidelines. I'm looking at the right one. Okay. My question comes from page 2. The elementary staffing based on grade level enrollments. I am hearing that we're pushing classes to 27 in some buildings, or we're looking to do that. I would like to know if that's true, what we're doing, because that's a lot.
We're looking to stay within the budget guidelines and the grade ranges.
Okay, because I want to make sure we don't, 27's a lot. So, okay, so just making sure.
Any other questions? All in favor for
Aye.
items 2, 5 through 8, 10 through 13, and number 16? Aye. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve item number 4, probationary period extension resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I thought we were going to do roll call. I didn't have a question, but I just have something I just want to say
Okay,
before my vote.
sure.
The Board of Education has many responsibilities. One of the most important is recognizing and valuing people who do the work every day inside our schools. Nothing is more discouraging or more damaging to a school community than when staff feel that the very board entrusted with supporting them does not respect their dedication, professionalism, and commitment to students. Our teachers, administrators, and staff devote countless hours to serving children and families, many of them often going far beyond what is required. When a board fails to acknowledge that effort or undermines it, it sends a message that their work does not matter. And that kind of message threatens morale, weakens trust, and ultimately harms the culture of the entire district. A strong board understands that supporting and valuing its staff is not optional. It is fundamental to maintaining a healthy, effective public school system. And I was honestly kind of torn with this because I do not believe we ever should have been brought to a point where this item even exists and is on our agenda. However, I do hope that with more time, this difficult situation can turn around for the better, because I believe our focus should remain where it always belongs, on putting the students first, of course, but in order to do that, we must ensure that the dedicated professionals who serve them every day feel supported, respected, valued, and secure in their livelihoods and futures. So, I know we're voting now. I am a yes for this.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 9, custodial unit MOA?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions on that?
Yeah, why can't we discuss this? Why is this not discussable? Why can't we discuss this in public?
Why can't we discuss it?
Yeah, I mean, is there a reason?
No, you.
Okay,
Yeah. No, you-
I'm wondering, I'm thinking that maybe the public should know what it is.
Yeah, it's a memorandum of
Yeah.
agreement for the custodial unit.
Okay, so,
Oh,
that was my
okay.
question.
Right, as it relates to whether emergency is. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes?
No.
Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 14, transportation settlement agreement and release number 2?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
My only question is, I have to be honest, I don't remember ever discussing this. I don't know if it's just me, but first of all, it wasn't in anything that I received, on Friday when I get the information sent to me. It wasn't on the agenda, then I saw it in the packet, and I said, I don't know, so this is not personal, I am.
Right.
So, and we can't discuss that in public?
No, we can't discuss it. Okay. I just didn't remember the name. I'm looking at the. Okay.
It was discussed in executive?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
noes? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion and a second to approve item number 15, the operation unit MOA?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions?
Again, I don't know what, I don't remember this. I don't. No, this isn't it. It's not that one.
Yeah.
That one we did already. Okay. Thank you. All right, one of the things I'm gonna have to say, and we're all human, but when, I need this stuff before
Yep.
the meeting, because then I'm sitting here looking through it, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, I didn't see it, it wasn't on there, so I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I would like it to be that when I get this the weekend prior, because I work, I have 3 children, I look at it that weekend. So having this information Monday or not seeing it until the meeting, so I'm just putting it out there. Just to try to have this on the agenda and all the information more than just before the meeting.
So that's fair.
Yes.
when Melissa spoke to you, do you recall now what it is?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable voting on it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you, everyone. Superintendent's update, Dr. Centimore.
Thank you, Ms. Mallon. When we started the meeting, we had, as part of our moment of silence for graduate Joseph Boutros, when I went to the wake, I had the opportunity to speak with his mom. And in speaking with her, she kind of asked that I kind of promote a message, and that's awareness about carbon monoxide poisoning, especially when sitting in an idling vehicle. So, thoughts and prayers to Joseph's mom and family and close friends and all of Connecticut. But I also wanted to honor that request and further promote the carbon monoxide awareness.
Can I just feed off of that for 1 second? So this one really, and you'll excuse me if I get emotional, it really hit home to me. He was my son's age. I knew him from Sycamore, and it was such a tragedy. And it's something that students just don't think about. He lost power at school, went to his car to charge his phone, and didn't realize his tailpipe was covered in snow during the blizzard. How awful. And his mom pleaded at the wake also. His football team came down. He was in Rhode Island. His whole football team got on a school bus and came down to his wake. He was an amazing child. He was an amazing person. And she is fighting for everybody to just raise awareness to your children, to just always check their tailpipes or bring down the windows a little bit to get some air so that this tragedy just does not happen to anybody else.
Thank you, Ms. Mallon. And again, my condolences to everyone. Certainly, Joseph was a shining star, and his memory, his legacy will live on. Certainly, congratulations to all of our student athletes and teams who are recognized this evening. Our scholar athletes continue to honor our district, and we thank the coaches and the program and all the supporting parents and community as well. Thank you to Ms. Poppy, our directors and principals, on a very informative elementary and curriculum presentation tonight. This followed the one at the secondary level. And we appreciate the efforts of our leadership and certainly our staff and support staff, teachers, support staff who are in the trenches with our students as we focus on the bread and butter. The high school recently had their musical Anastasia. It was last week, and it was spectacular. I know our Board of Education members want to speak more on it, so I'm just going to say congratulations to our students and staff as our theater program continues to shine. Last week's International Night, which was organized by the World Language Honor Society, was outstanding. It has become a true hallmark event for our high school and community. The presentations were great, and the food was pretty terrific. It beautifully highlighted the rich heritage and diversity of our community, which is a true source of pride and strength. It also comes at such a wonderful time of the year as we just concluded Black History Month and now Women's History Month. We're focusing on disabilities awareness, and there are so many wonderful holidays from Ramadan and Eid to St. Patrick's Day to Passover and Easter. Literacy is always a big focus, and for all of our schools across all curriculum areas. Recently, Sycamore and Duffield held literacy nights. They were very well attended. They were very interactive. Kids and families truly had a wonderful experience. It was a lot of fun. The John Pearl McTeacher Night was actually, I think, moved to, I think it's the 24th. What's really neat is that a lot of our schools will do fundraisers at the local McDonald's where our staff and our administration will help serve food, and it's a fundraiser for the school. It's really neat to see the staff do that. So we appreciate that, and it's always nice to have one of our local establishments partnering with our schools, as many do throughout our community. We have a big event coming up Thursday night. We really want to promote it. Thursday night, March 12th, 6 p.m. at Oakdale Bohemian Middle School. This is being sponsored through our Student Services Department. It's dinner and a movie night. And they're showing a movie, Screen Ages. The movie Screen Ages is geared towards elementary parents, and the film is particularly important. It's a helpful guide to help parents navigate this very challenging time of the digital age, obviously the personal devices. So we're hoping to get a nice turnout. I believe we have, as of this morning or yesterday afternoon, about 75 people that have signed up, which already is a great turnout. Thursday night, 6 p.m. at Oakdale, Bohemia. Over the weekend, we heard about the great accomplishments from our athletes who were in competition. We also had our OBMS Lego robotics team in competition, a championship tournament held at Hicksville High School. I had a chance Sunday morning to go see them in action, and it's really neat. We have a wonderful robotics program from elementary up through the high school. The high school robotics team will be in competition very soon at Hofstra University, and our Lego robotics team really did a great job on Sunday, so congratulations to them and their advisors. Later in March, Idlehour has their Makerspace Fair on the 18th. The next day, the 19th, is the E&L Fun Night at RMS, which is always a great time. March 23rd is OBMS Pops Concert at the high school, and then RMS will have their pop concert also at the high school on the 25th. There's the Tri-M Talent Show at RMS on the 26th, and a Showcase of the Arts on the 27th. So our student artists and musicians continue to perform and entertain us. And we're so proud of those programs as well. And as always, I thank our PTA and our SEPTA for all the wonderful enrichment activities and events. Thank you as well to Orba, who has been very active with the theater program and certainly with all the concerts that are upcoming. Certainly as we start spring sports, our athletic boosters, we thank them for all that they do, as well as our partners throughout the community, such as all of the various civics associations and Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Centimore. Next, we have the Board of Ed committee reports. We have the emergency management team meeting, which was myself and Ms. Torregrossa. Do you want, I can do it? Okay. So as usual, this is a unique committee because a lot of what is said and happens there has to stay there just because it does go into a lot of specifics on security and taking care of making sure that everything is secure and safe in the schools. But one thing that they did ask and have us reiterate is make sure that your IDs are visible at all times so that people know who you are in the buildings. That goes for staff, that goes for students. Just always have IDs on you, always have the doors locked and closed. And personally, I thank security for always being on top of everything and protecting us. Thank you. The Mental Health Advisory Committee, Ms. DiLorenzo.
Okay, so a lot happening here. We have the first thing that I want to talk about is the EASL program. We had a presentation from one of our second grade teachers at Basti, Ms. Manzo. She did a great job. And just to give a little bit of a background, which I would love to have them here, somebody here from the committees, or Dr. Pisani, or somebody to explain EASL to everybody, but I'll give you a little bit of a brief overview. It's the process through which youth develop and apply skills necessary to understand and manage their emotions, set and achieve positive goals, build awareness for self and others, establish interpersonal skills for relationships, and learn how to make responsible decisions. They have 3 goals: to develop self and social awareness, learn how to understand, identify, and express and regulate their emotions, use social awareness and relational skills to establish and maintain interpersonal effectiveness, and demonstrate the ability to make healthy choices for self and others, and identify community resources for support, which includes mental health support inside and outside of school. EASL is something that was developed, New York State mandated that we have some sort of SEL program, and a number of years ago, back in 21-22 school year, we were in the process of implementing Ruler. Ruler was very political. It came from CASEL, which is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. It essentially had roots in DEI, which is ultimately critical race theory. So while there were some good points to it, it wasn't for us. So, and I want to thank them because I wasn't on the board at that time, but I had asked our mental health staff to create something Which they did. They did. We have fantastic people in that department, our social work department, and they did create something, and that's where Easel was born. The nice thing is that they're going to try to do is they're going to try to integrate it into the core subjects in ways that are very, very easy for teachers. It's not going to be something extra on their plate, which is important. They have a lot to handle in their classroom. So this is something that's going to be, they're working on implementing it. And they have really been working diligently under the direction of Dr. Pisani to develop this. So thank you, which leads right into the fact that one of the events was National School Social Worker Week was last week. So thank you to them for all their hard work. Some other events that we have, that we did have was Mental Health Matters Day. It was something where they were going to go to Albany, but we didn't send anybody to Albany because it's a very new program. But they did do some other things. During the Random Acts of Kindness Week, there were different events. They actually had, Duffield had Piglet, and Piglet is not a pig. Piglet's actually a dog who's pink. And this is a dog who is deaf and blind. And the kids love Piglet. They taught about the Piglet mindset, which is acceptance of those with disabilities. So it was really something really wonderful that they did. And from what I understand, this is coming to Cherokee for their Wellness Day. The other thing, which Dr. C mentioned, is Screenagers Thursday night. It was, at the meeting, it was 58. Did you say it was 75 families now?
I believe that was the number I was given yesterday. We're up to 75.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, the pizza and a movie night, Screenagers meant for elementary families. Definitely sign up. There's a QR code. There's also a Northwell School mental health art contest for students in grades K to 12. There's a submission deadline for that, April 1st. I don't know if that went out on Parent Square. Did that go on? Dr. C, do we know if that flyer went on Parent Square? I can't remember.
I think it's for Screenagers. I'm pretty sure.
The art contest, the Northwell School mental health art contest.
I'll ask.
Okay, so see if we can get that out there. The other thing on Parent Square, parent virtual workshops. And another really nice thing that they did is there's extra support for ENL students. The pamphlet is now printed in Spanish. And we're hoping for Mr. Sosa to join us at the next meeting to discuss how we're incorporating mental health for our ENL families. And bullying prevention education, they're now keeping track of how many times a DASA turns into an actual DASA versus not. There are team monthly meetings at the buildings. And the other thing I know we had mentioned is to have the LICAD Joe Salamone come to the meeting, hoping we can maybe get him for our next meeting. And also the students that are part of the ambassador program, because they piloted to John Pearl, so it would be really nice to recognize these students. Maybe at our next meeting, if we can reach out to the department and see if we can set that up.
So is the contest Erase the Stigma? So
yeah.
it is on Parent Square.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and we do have LICAP coming to the next meeting.
Oh, we do have that
Yes.
set up. Excellent. Maybe we can also see if the students want to come, the ambassadors or some of them. We could look into that too. That'll be nice to recognize them.
Or if it's not the next meeting, it's the April meeting, but they are definitely scheduled.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is Piglet actually a dog that they bring in?
Yeah, and he's kind of
Okay.
pink, and he's small. When I say he's tiny, and he's very pink, so they named him Piglet. Very cute. The kids absolutely love Piglet.
dog that they brought in.
Yeah, that they brought in. Yes.
Thank you. Board of Ed topics, district updates, Ms. Inatelli.
So, as part of Connecticut High School's job shadowing program, students had the opportunity to tour North Atlantic Industries in Bohemia, where they gained valuable insight into the world of engineering and advanced manufacturing. Connecticut also participates in our own job shadowing program for any student who is thinking or pursuing education in the future. They get to pick a school, either elementary, middle school, or high school, and they get to shadow a teacher and see how the day in the life of a teacher goes. I think it would be behoove us to maybe expand that program and allow kids who are interested in guidance, custodial, grounds, administration, and clerical, maybe they can also have a shadow day. So it's just a thought, but I do love that we do our own and that we, are always looking to highlight our students. Connecticut High School students in Mr. Hargrave's Advanced Digital Art class were selected as a feature artist for the local artist gallery wall of the CM Performing Arts Center during their run of Spamalot. So that was awesome. They had a meet and greet so family and community members could come in and view all of the artwork. This one, I can't even tell you how this is so great. The general manager of Vincent's Clam Bar, Long Island, and Vincent's Sauce teamed up to support the Connecticut Central School District's food pantry. For every jar of Vincent sauce purchased at Walmart, $1 was donated directly to the food pantry. Through this generous initiative, a total of $2,137 was raised. I think that's great. You know, I'm not sure who in our school initiated that, which staff member, but that is amazing that they donated, and that's a big chunk of money to help our students, you know, who are in need of food, and even just that little boost during school.
Thank you. Anastasia, the play at the high school, Miss DiLorenzo.
One of my favorite things to talk about are musicals, and I don't even know where to begin because this was every single part of it. Their voices, their acting, the train, the timing between the pit, the stage crew, and the kids on stage singing. That whole scene was it was like Broadway. I couldn't believe what these kids put together. The staff, the sound of the pit, their music was amazing. The chemistry too between the leads, all the kids, but those three was just, it was amazing. These kids, they outdid themselves, and the stage crew, they were fantastic on top of everything. And I even heard, I mean, talk about chemistry between them and their collaboration. I went to the Friday night show, but I heard that Saturday, I think the mic went out for the lead. And the orchestra, he immediately told them to go lower because she was, of course, I want to say projecting beautifully, but still with no mic. They just worked it out, and I loved every part of it. Amazing job to the whole cast, the crew, the staff that put this together. It was such a joy, such a pleasure, and thank you for a wonderful night out. Took my daughter, she loved it, and it was fantastic. Great job to every single person involved.
And she didn't skip a beat. So her mic went off, and it was like as professional as ever. She just kept going. You said their voices were just amazing. Everything about it was fantastic. I agree. Okay, Snow, Miss DiLorenzo.
Yes, I wanted to know, because it was a lot of, it was a lot of unknowns with the Wednesday day that we had the delay. We didn't know what was happening the night before, and I get that. It's hard to tell what's going to happen, but there was just so much going on that morning. So I just wanted to know, I don't know if you have the stats on this, how many kids were late or absent on that day as compared to any other day, because I know a lot of parents didn't send their kids. And I want to be sure that anybody who was late or absent, it was marked as excused. Because honestly, if somebody, and again, we would have never known, but probably if we had started school on time that day, who knew? We probably would have been okay at that time. But you don't know. You can't predict the future. So I understand parents not even sending their kids or sending them late. So I just want to see what we're going to be doing about those students that day.
So I want to echo your statement, and I know we both said it when it happened. It's so hard, right? Because you look at the weather, you look at the weather pattern, you make a decision, and then the next day the weather completely just changes because weather people are the only people that are allowed to be wrong 90% of the time, right? So as a superintendent, I know you do the best you can, but I do want to reinforce what Jackie said. If students were absent and or late, that they are not marked for it and that they are marked excused, because parents had to make difficult decisions that morning of whether to keep their kid home for their own safety, how they were going to get them to school.
So absolutely, any latenesses or absences that day were excused from a weather emergency. There's actually a nice opportunity for me to thank all the various crews from our facilities department, the mechanics from transportation, and then on that particular day, that Wednesday, all of our bus drivers. That Wednesday was very challenging. So a big thank you to everyone in facilities, all the different crews, custodial, grounds, maintenance, transportation mechanics, certainly our bus drivers. A big thank you to everybody under John and Brandon's leadership as well. Bob and Rich, everybody chipping in. Appreciate everyone. In terms of the attendance was definitely low that day and high lateness. I know Ms. Poppy has some numbers for that Wednesday.
I'd like to request something ever happens like that again, pull the trigger. I don't care if it's the last minute, keep the buses off the road. Buses shouldn't be sliding backwards in Ronkonkoma. That's how we used to check for time immemorial. I said this. We put a driver on and whoever else took a bus and hit those hills in Ronk. And that determined.
I do have some numbers to share with the Board of Education. So I was asked to provide information about attendance absences, presents, and tardies for the district average between 9/2/2025, which was the first day of school, and February 24th, 2026, which was day 2 of the blizzard. So essentially the school year to date prior to that 2-hour delay. So the district average of students present is 94%. District average for students absent was 6%. District average for students who are tardy is 2%. On February 25th, that's Singleton Day, the district average for students absent was 24%. District average for students present was 76%. And district average for students tardy was 4%. Would anybody like me to repeat any of those figures, or?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, CTA letter in regards to charter schools, Ms. Inatelli.
Yeah, so the Connecticut Teachers Association had written us an email asking us to consider signing on to the resolution pushing for legislation to regulate how charter schools spend taxpayers' money. So as many of you are aware, the letter reads, we've had a 17% increase in charter schools across Long Island, that the taxpayers' money actually goes to any student who actually attends these schools. So I'm asking the board to vote to support sending the letter. I do feel we should, and Anthony, if you want to speak a little bit, if you could, about the charter schools and how their regulations and how you don't have to be a certified teacher and some of the information.
Sure. So there is a difference between how a charter school needs to operate and how a public school in the same area needs to operate. The big issue that the letter outlines is that they're looking for legislation that would, in effect, take away some of the control of SUNY, the State University of New York, which oversees charter schools and which would approve them, and require further input from the local Board of Education.
So if we could take a vote, if everybody's okay with signing and sending this letter in?
I'm not okay at all. This is something that I have to think about. I have to really consider this and do some homework on my own. To sit here and do it after the 11th hour of a board meeting is unacceptable.
All right, we received this letter from the CTA on February 26th.
Didn't know
so
there was going to be a vote. So on sending anything out.
Okay, so we'll do it next meeting.
I agree too. I didn't know that there was going to be any kind of a vote on this, but I do have something to say about it. I will, of course, first and foremost, always proudly support public education, especially Connecticut as a place where students can thrive and succeed. And while families make decisions that are right for their children, my role as a trustee is to help ensure that our public schools, Connecticut specifically, remain a strong and attractive choice through excellent academic programs and meaningful success after graduation. At the same time, I do believe it's important for the board to remain focused on its core mission to uphold our responsibility to be thoughtful and even-handed in our approach. Maintaining an apolitical posture helps ensure that we represent all members of our community and keep our attention where it belongs, supporting students and strengthening our schools. So by staying centered on education rather than political affiliations, we reinforce our trust and demonstrate that our priority is the success of every Connecticut student. So I'm not ready to vote on anything. I just want to say, no matter what goes on, we should always remain focused on making sure that Connecticut is a top choice for our families. They're paying their taxpayer money. We want to make sure that they look at whatever options are out there for them. And Connecticut is the best choice for their children. And I will always remain focused on that, on trying to make us the first choice.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's clear this had nothing to do with politics. This had to do with our taxpayer money going towards a school that isn't even certified teachers for our students. So I just want to make that clear. I'm not really sure where that political part came in, but we will definitely take this up next meeting.
Yeah, so I also didn't know we were gonna vote on it. I can vote next meeting, but I will just say that I am in support of the CTA's letter and opposing the legislation for a charter school. I feel like we should be able to have our students in our schools, but that's just my personal opinion, and I will definitely vote next week or next meeting. I should say.
I'll definitely vote the next meeting. Having said that, I don't believe that it should be in the hands of a Board of Ed, by the way.
No, it's just to sign the letter.
No,
I
it's for
I
the.
get it, but ultimately, what did Anthony just say? That the Board of Ed should have what? Yeah. You open a whole other can of worms with that issue. We're already dealing with certain things with transportation. I don't think we need to do it with Board of Ed members, but just saying.
And now we have class sizes, Ms. DiLorenzo.
I actually mentioned it earlier, what I was going to say, I brought up earlier. But if everybody's done, I actually did have something else I wanted to talk about. I guess I can do it now. What I wanted to do is, I wanted to give some Thunderbird transparency. I want to bring up some things that happened just to try to basically wrap up what's been going on. I'm going to go back a little bit. September 28th of 2023, the board, approved $25,000 for Sokolov Stern to fight alongside Massapequa. That was approved with a unanimous vote, 5-0. August 27 of 2024, we approved another $25,000 for the same law firm for the same reason. That was approved, but it was approved as a 3-2. Then on September 2nd, 2025, this past September, we approved 3-2. Well, I say we because I'm sitting up here, but I was part of the two to say no. Approved the settlement with Albany. And then on January 22nd, 2026, the U.S. Department of Education finds Connecticut Central School District violated Title VI by complying with Native American mascot ban. So it's now been about a month and a half since this finding by the U.S. Department of Education, and honestly, the community has heard nothing about it. And I understand, as a board trustee, I am bound by Robert's rules. I am legally unable to give any kind of details about the legal discussions being had. But the money is yours. It's taxpayer money. That is not private. So I'm going to summarize the finances behind this. I'm going to quote an article from the New York Post. I'm not going back to that. That was a very contentious time for our board, but there was an article that was put out June 10th, this past summer, and the district is quoted as stating, the district has invested significant funds in larger scale athletic costs at the high school and middle schools without the Thunderbirds name or imagery. These costs included the replacement of turf fields, indoor gym floors and equipment, and other fixtures, as well as repainting projects throughout the schools totaling $23,620,000. The district has completed at least 75% of the necessary work for compliance. This was stated in the New York Post. Came from a letter from the district. $23,620,000 is that number. And that's not actually the number. The number is actually a little higher. Add in another figure that was part of the letter that New York Post had obtained, another number, $167,255.72. Add that number in. That was for uniforms, equipment without the logo. Then add in legal expenses, which totaled $70,895.93. And our most recent Board of Ed approved expenditure from this past January, it was approved 3-2. I was a no. I believe, Sarah, you were also a no for that, for $36,501.06. That total is actually $23,894,652.71. Now, I understand a little portion of that was part of the money that we all approved, that $50,000. We spent $38,934 out of the $50 that this board approved. So, all right, let's just take that out temporarily. Then the number is still $23,855,000. Now, that particular money, that $38,000, that was done because we had asked the community what they wanted to do. We were listening to the community. The rest of this money, the community had no say in. They didn't know, because some of this money, those figures, were spent the years 2020 to 2021. the 21-22 school year, 22-23 school year, all prior to all of that happening. The other thing I don't quite understand is that while we were in this litigation alongside Massapequa, we did that through the 23-24 school year, and basically the 24-25 school year, yet those years we are listed as spending money. The 23-24 year, we spent over $48,000. And the 24-25 year, we spent almost $37,000. While we were in litigation trying to retain our Thunderbird name, T-Bird name, fighting, the community figured we proved $50,000. Here we were alongside Massapequa, and yet the district is spending money. Now this is like about 80 grand to change our logo at the same time. I'm not quite sure how that happened. So nonetheless, these are the figures. Facts are facts. You can't dispute them. The money is the numbers are there. And we have anticipated costs that I've managed to gather over the information we've gotten. Anticipated costs if we continue on with, now we don't have to necessarily get rid of T-Birds. We can keep T-Birds, just not Thunderbirds. So there's still anticipated costs of $12,732.50. Some other charges were with the $80,000, which is expected possibly to be more beyond that $12,000. And then another $10,000 for more legal expenses should we continue carrying on the way we are going. So I was almost going to bring this up during our budget talks because this is budget, but that was a very long conversation, and this is kind of, I would have wound up veering off into something different. But I think it's only fair for the community to have these numbers, so you have all the facts. I cannot tell you what's happening, beyond that, because that is what I am bound to legally as a Board of Ed trustee. But the money belongs to the community, and you have a right to know what was spent out of your money and what could be spent, shall we carry on this way.
Can somebody let me know if I'm wrong? I think, and I'm asking for honest clarification. I thought when we had this conversation, it was that there was things like uniforms that had been replaced anyway. We went from things that said Thunderbirds across and those more like everyone's doing just the letter now.
Are you referring to the $23 million?
Yeah, like how we got
So
it
was my understanding that the $23 million is monies that was spent over an extended period of time, not like in a year or two.
And it wasn't.
It was like an 8 or 10 year period where it was like, Dr. Senimore, correct me if I'm wrong. it
Yes,
was
you're
like
correct.
Bonds.
Yeah, there were projects across the district that at the time, if there was any kind of signage that related to the mascot, that as they were doing these projects, they might have gone to Connecticut or T-Birds. Same thing with uniforms that were due to be replaced anyway. So, as these projects were occurring, to that dollar total, where there were opportunities for the district to, use an alternative, that's what was done. To say it was specific.
Well, I don't know if it was really an
yeah.
alternative, so I just have to be clear
Yeah.
here, because it was a choice that the district made that we wanted to go with the big C on at the floor. It had nothing really, yes, we wound up changing, but we chose to make the big C.
That's a better way to
We chose
word it.
write Connecticut. We chose.
Yeah, because Connecticut has utilized over the years multiple images, multiple names, Connecticut T-Birds, Thunderbirds, the two most common images, as well as the big C. That's been prevalent certainly on some fields and things. So yes, that's a better choice of word.
Well, I get that, and you're saying we chose, but who? The community was completely unaware. So who chose to just slowly but surely, we might get hit with this, let's just start changing?
So I don't think that's what they're saying. I think what they're saying is like when somebody went to do a gym floor, they're like, I think aesthetically it would look nicer if it had a big C on it. So
It's still not transparent, and I
it
know what
wasn't.
you
It
mean.
wasn't I'm going to pull the hood over the community and start changing the mascot without telling them. It was none of that.
I disagree. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, when it was done on the website, where the C was turned around, we all had an issue with the fact that no one asked us. Okay, no one brought it up to the board where it could be then brought out to the public.
Listen, if it has to change, it has to change. It's not the point. The point is that decisions shouldn't be made unilaterally without the Board of Ed knowing and then the public knowing. And that has gone down constantly. And that's actually exactly it, is if it has to be changed, if we, you deal with it at that time, but even still, if in that moment, but then to go around a few years later and say, oh, well, we changed this, so yeah, that was changed, because it all seems very dishonest and really, really, not being completely transparent with the community at all. And I just, I wish I could talk more about what's happening. I cannot, but the money is out there, and at least the community now knows what was spent. Whether you say it was because, well, we were changing it anyway, we might as well. I'm just not going for that, because it's still it lacks a lot of transparency.
Wouldn't the boards of those times have approved that spending? Wouldn't the boards that were active at that time approved that spending the same way like we?
Yeah, they might have, but why the spending? Maybe I don't know. I mean, I wasn't sitting here, but were they actually told at the time, well, we're changing it for this, we're changing it, it's a lack of communication, a lack of transparency that is ultimately it. And like I said, if we had to change, if it really came down to it, and ultimately, honestly, if it really came down to it and we have to go with T-Birds, that is absolutely the next best option to Thunderbirds. I fully agree with that. But it's how it was done, how this was all done. And, I had those concerns of being a Title VI violation. I brought it up the very night the settlement was voted on. And I was told, no, by the lawyer, no, it's my opinion that we're not violating. And sure enough, we get slapped with it a few months later.
Right, we've had this conversation so many times. I just feel like
But
it's
without
just
the
on and
finances
on.
being
No,
fully
we talk about it a
disclosed.
lot.
We never fully talked about the finances. Yeah, all that stuff we've gone over many times. I'm not going back to that. The finances were never fully disclosed. Those numbers were never really given to the community.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything for board discussions? Does anybody in the audience have any public comment? Okay, so the rules will remain the same from what I read the first time. I'm sure you all know the rules. So number 1. Okay. We will do it one at a time.
I got my number 1. This was my original comment I was supposed to say until you guys did the other thing before. When I watched the last Board of Ed live stream and saw the board refuse a moment of silence, I knew I had to speak. For years, this district has taken moments of silence for fallen first responders and others without issue. A moment of silence may be small to you, but it teaches something very powerful to students. Recently, Nassau County Police Officer Patricia Espinosa lost her life because of a drunk driver, yet this board refused to honor her with a moment of silence, even though a sitting Board of Ed member requested it. When we pause, we honor not just a uniform, but a person, a life dedicated to protecting others. For students watching, especially in your audience that night, this is a teachable moment. It reminds them that choices have consequences and that one decision can change lives forever. It also shows them the value of service, responsibility, and respect for those who protect our communities. That's why it is deeply troubling that Board of Ed member April Iannatelli not only refused the request for a moment of silence at the February meeting, but then went on to state she blocked it and plans to create a policy to prevent honoring first responders in the future. What message does this send to the students and this community as a whole? This board missed an opportunity to lead by example instead of showing respect and using this moment to discuss the very real dangers of drugs and alcohol, the very committee that April sits on, issues affecting our students. You allowed one member of this board to dictate the outcome. Before creating policies that block respect for fallen first responders, perhaps this board should focus on addressing the real issues facing this district and restoring transparency, leadership, and accountability. I would like my remaining public time to be used for the moment of silence that Officer Espinosa earned and deserved. but that this board refused. Thank you. What I would like to say as a closing is that in the time that you, April, wasted to not have a moment of silence, and in the time that you wasted in using time to say that students shouldn't, you're going to make a policy against a fallen officer, disgusting disgrace. Disgusting. Use that time for education. Do better. You wasted more time talking about the policy than having a moment of silence. Disgusting. Worst board member up there.
I'm going to have to say something because it had nothing to do with one person. It had to do with making sure if we're only going to do one person, we have to do every person. Everyone deserves the moment of silence. And we don't have enough time to list all the names of everyone. So we can't start a precedence. Let's be clear though, not one person's life is more important than another's. All count. Every life lost matters.
I just wanted to say thank you for doing that because I was the one that requested it and didn't have the opportunity, so thank you.
I want to say something. There needs to be some sort of guidelines. Having said that, what just went down, all of that time for the moment of silence, was ridiculous. That's there for people to ask questions. If someone's done with their question, it should move on to the next person.
So to be fair, the person at the mic gets 3 minutes, and it is their 3 minutes to do.
Not so.
Okay.
They're there to ask questions. They're not there to do moments of silence and then force the hand of everybody else. And I'm the first person to say a prayer for everyone. That's specifically there for a reason.
Okay. We will agree to disagree, but number two. Number two.
Excuse me, I have a cold today. I just want to put my 2 cents in with the process of the mascot. That New York State had a mandate, and it was over 20 years. So Connecticut was following that mandate piece by piece by piece in its creation of new facilities and whatever. And there was discussions about it. And over that time period, no one knew that there was going to be an alternative discussion, that the federal government was going to get into it, and there would be different viewpoints. But I do want to say, over 20 years, everything was simplified, and the process was followed. Thank you.
Thank you. Number three. That's it. It's you. You do have to go to the mic. I'm sorry, just for the people at home.
You're trying to be a rule breaker after all these years, you know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just really want to thank the superintendent and the Board of Education for recognizing the hard work that someone put in over 2 years. Corinne Rekowitz has worked towards becoming a 19A, so I want to thank you folks for appointing her this evening, and we look forward to having Corinne, who's there with her family, be part of the 19A program here in the Transportation Department. So thank you very much.
Long overdue.
Thank you. Can I call for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone.